All right. Welcome. We are doing a two-shot of Brindlewood Bay, a carved by Brindlewood game by Jason Cordova. All right. So, we are going to introduce our players for tonight, and then we are going to go over CATS, which is concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. So, for players, well, actually, I'm the keeper. Mads for short, Madelancholy, she, they, and I really love tabletop role playing games. I fell into this by the Between when I originally found Brindlewood Bay first, but never got to play this until after I started the Between. So, anyway, it's been a wild ride with all the different games that I've been able to play and all the wonderful people that I've been able to play with. So, I am glad to be able to join yet another table and run this awesome game for them. All right. So let me go ahead and popcorn this over to Kathleen. Name, pronouns, anything interesting you'd like us to know, and maybe what you're excited about for tonight's game.
I'm Kathleen, pronouns she, her. I've got several decades of history with RPGs, playing and running, everything from extremely trad to extremely not. And I have played a grand total of one session of Brindlewood Bay before, and so I am extremely excited about this, and I look forward to seeing how our characters bounce off each other, because we have some very different folks who I look forward to seeing interact.
Fabulous. All right, let's go ahead and go to Rachael.
All right. Yep. Just make sure I was on mute. Rachael, she, her. I have not played Brindlewood Bay before, but I'm super excited to play it. I did back it on the Kickstarter. I do have the PDFs downloaded, but I haven't gotten a chance to sit down with them yet. I have been playing games since 2005-ish, and I've been GMing since 2010-ish, give or take. And I like to try all sorts of games whenever I get the chance, time and everything willing. So I'm super, super excited to play this one.
Awesome. All right. And Luna.
Hey, my name's Luna. I've only been playing RPGs for like the last year, maybe 2 years. Rachael got me started. I haven't played Brindlewood Bay yet, but I did back it, so I'm super, super excited. I've been watching Murder, She Wrote in preparation, so I've got like all the notes and everything.
Awesome. All right. So, last but not least, Daniel.
Hey, I'm Daniel. I use he, they pronouns. I have been gaming on and off for, I don't know, too many years. But I've only played Brindlewood Bay. This will be twice. I ran it once. So I'm really looking forward to being a player.
And I'm always excited when I get people to be able to play this instead of just running it, because this is such a fun game. Oh my goodness. All right, so now we're going to go over CATS. And essentially CATS is, again, concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. It's an acronym to set up for the purpose of establishing basic expectations for what this game is about and what we're going to be doing during this session, okay, and future sessions. So for the most part, concept. Brindlewood Bay is a role-playing game about a group of elderly women, members of the local murder Mavens mystery book club, who frequently find themselves investigating and solving actual murder mysteries. They become increasingly aware that there are supernatural forces that connect the cases they are working on, and in particular, a cult dedicated to the dark, monstrous aspect of the goddess Persephone will come to vex them. The game is directly inspired by the television show Murder, She Wrote, but also takes inspiration from the cosmic horror genre, mystery books, cozy crime dramas, and the American TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Aim. The aim of the characters in this story is to keep their community safe by investigating the murders taking place here. Our aim as players is to learn more about these characters, as well as to paint a vivid picture of the town of Brindlewood Bay, a responsibility we all share. The aims for today's session are to create and introduce our characters, learn the basics of how the game works by playing it, and then have a debrief period at the end. The tone of the game bounces between the cozy and the creepy. Most of the time it will be fairly lighthearted, but occasionally it will get very dark and menacing. Some kitschy, campy humor is permissible here, and very much in keeping with the game's inspirations. But above all, your characters should take everything they do very seriously, even if we're having a bit of a laugh from time to time. And subject matter: murder of all varieties, threats to animals and children, ritual magic, human sacrifice, and other dark subject matter come up in this game from time to time. We'll talk about safety tools in a moment, but in the interest of setting expectations right now, you should know that while the game is generally lighthearted, some intense subject matter can come up. Because of that, we do have safety tools that will be in play. We use the X card, which is essentially if for any reason you find something objectionable, unfun, we would stop the game if you call out X card, make an X in the chat, in the video, or write X in the chat, and then we will stop play, clarify what is being X carded, take that out, and then continue forward. Okay, so that will be taken out of the game. Open door policy. For any reason, you don't have to tell us why. You just say, I've got an open door, and then you can leave the game, okay? No questions asked. We're just going to clarify whether you're going to be coming back after a scene or if you got to leave, okay? And aside from that, I mean, that's perfectly fine. And then the last safety tool that we do have in play is lines and veils. We have a safety tab in our character keeper, and this safety tab lists the things that we are lining out. Lines, which are things that will not be included in our game whatsoever. And veils are things that we will fade to black on. Maybe they're mentioned in the game because of the subject that's mentioned, but we will not role play that at all. Okay, so just for transparency's sake, lines for our table are homophobia, transphobia, pandemic plague, racism, sexual assault, sexual violence, dementia, Alzheimer's, and infant death, miscarriage, stillborns. For veils, we have eye injuries, harm to children, harm to pet, domestic animals. And that's it. And then we do have an ask first column, so that would be, in the case of somebody marking that would be, we would stop play and then just say, is this okay? Or we would do a O with a question mark in the chat, okay? And then of interest is romance. So it is highly possible in this game, especially because I'm running it, but we'll see. We'll see how much we can squeeze into a session. And we do have the second part, or could be a completely different mystery, but the same Mavens for the next session. Okay, so with that, let's start going over and be introduced to our characters. All right, so in the order of the character keeper, let's go through the characters' name, style, cozy activity, and then we will see what their Maven move is, a very specific move that the Mavens can pull at any time. All right, and then we will go over their diary, which is essentially talking about their deceased partner, remembering that these are elderly ladies that have retired to Brindlewood Bay, their deceased partner, their children or pets, what they did before retiring, and then that will lead to the second phase of the character creation, which is my favorite thing, which is creating the items for the cozy little place. But for now, let's just go with the name, style, cozy activity, character name and pronouns, style, cozy activity, and your Maven move. All right, so we'll go in order of the character keeper and then go back and then review the diary. Okay, so Kathleen, can you start us off? Oop, mute.
I'm guaranteed to do that at least once a session. I'm playing Astrid Sorensen, pronouns she, her, style up in pumps, always more fancily dressed than most. My cozy activity is origami, and my Maven move is Jonathan Hart. I used to live a globe-trotting jet-set life and still have a touch of glamour about me that will never fade, which adds to my presence.
Excellent. All right, Daniel, tell us about Diane.
Sure. I'll be playing Diane Lange. Uses pronouns she, her. Style is going fishing. I'm imagining it like cargo pants and like fishing vests, whatever has like tons of pockets. The more pockets, the better. Cozy activity is photography. And her maven move is Remington Steele. You're very talented at passing yourself off as someone you are not. If there's a piece of identification or disguise that would help you with your ruse, you have it. Say what it is and add it to your cozy little place.
All right, cool. Okay.
Did you want us to go through our diaries as well at this point, or
Not yet. We're
Not
just
yet,
going to
okay.
do like the very beginning part, like up to Maven move, and then we're going to start again and go through the diary, because then we're all going to listen very carefully to see how we're going to populate the cozy little place. Okay? But thanks. All right. So Rachael, go and tell us about Effie Gray, which I actually thought was a show, because I think there was like either a movie or a show, and I was getting confused. It's like, why is she discussing Effie Gray?
I have no idea. If it
funny.
is, awesome. So Effie Gray, she, her pronouns. Her style is the speed walking. So I think like the stretchy pants. She's maybe got the fanny pack going on. Keeping all her little tools and things in there because she likes building model cars. Not necessarily using kits, possibly using like whatever she can find around, which leads into her Maven move, which is I forget the name of it. Angus MacGyver. I like Agnes better. Angus MacGyver. When you improvise in a situation using whatever is at hand, ask the other players and keeper to name 3 objects you find in the environment. So long as you can give a plausible explanation for how one or more of these 3 objects will help you with the action, you can have an advantage on a single roll related to that action.
All right. And finally, Luna, tell us about Birdie.
Tonight I'm playing Birdie Bergmann, who uses the pronouns she, her. Her style is all the cardigans, and her cozy activity is knitting. So I felt like those went together really well. So I'm thinking like in the summer you have the light cardigan or maybe like a shawl, and in the winter you've got just yarn everywhere. The big fluffy cardigan that like she gets lost in, that has pockets in every like corner of it. My Maven move is R Quincy. I have a medical background. Describe it, and then add medical bag to your cozy little place. When you use it to get an advantage on a die roll, leave it unmarked, is what the description says.
And we'll go over all of the mechanics as we go through play. I believe it sticks better, like, once you're actually using it in action. So, awesome. Okay, so let's go back over to the beginning of the character keeper. Now, Kathleen, tell us about Astrid. Like, again, you're going to talk about what's in your diary, about your deceased partner, your children or your pets, and what you did before retiring to Brindlewood Bay, okay? And each of you will do this because we're going to stop after you tell us what's in your diary. And each of us, including myself, are going to give you something for your cozy little place. The cozy little place is just like your equipment list in more traditional games, where you list some items that you have either on your person or that are in your house or apartment, whatever you are currently living in as a retiree of Brindlewood Bay. And mechanically, you could use this once, unless the move tells you that you can use it multiple times. You can mark it once to add advantage to your roll, all right? Because one of the advancements in this game is to be able to unmark any of the cozy little place items that you've used. But again, you would use it mechanically once. But for fictional positioning, like if you put down that you have a Leatherman tool, you can have that on your person and use it fictionally, no problem. You just only gain advantage on the one time, okay? So, tell us about Astrid, and then we will see what's in your cozy little place.
Astrid, well, I was an opera singer. I was a coloratura soprano, in fact. I sang around the world. I was never one of the most famous, but I had my fans. I married my vocal coach, Lange. We worked together extremely closely, but it was not the most peaceful of marriages. We both had tempers and strong personalities, and neither one of us was very good at compromise. So there was occasional, shouting matches and storming outs and things like that. He was older than I, and so my plan when I retired from the stage was to teach voice. But in fact, I retired from the stage and taught voice and took care of him in his final years. And that was in New York City. And then when he died, I couldn't stand to be in the apartment we'd shared and surrounded by such familiar places and people. So that's when I retired to Brindlewood Bay. We never had children. It just never fit in my career. And so when I retired, I got 2 cats. Largo is a big Maine Coon tomcat, gray, and Allegro is a slender little black short hair girl. So that's Astrid.
All right. So, knowing this, each of us name something that would be in Astrid's cozy little place. Again, this would not have to be something that she is like she has as portable that she carries in her purse. It can be something that she can even recall in her mind or memory that she keeps at home. So again, something that would make sense being Astrid's. And then you can go ahead. Oh, and the player has veto/revision capability on anything that's mentioned. Okay.
So I had a thought for one.
Okay.
So you said you were, you traveled around. You maybe weren't the most famous, but I imagine through your traveling, you did perhaps, I don't know if opera singers like necessarily like compete, but you get some sort of like maybe awards. So you have a very nice rather heavy like wooden plaque that's maybe several decades old at this time, from very early in your career, from an award ceremony that you got. So, and you keep that prominent view. Again, it's a thing that you're very proud of.
I like it.
And feel free to call it anything you want. I mean,
Yeah, award, plaque,
yeah,
wall thing.
Exactly.
I've got one for Astrid. It's opera related also. A pitch pipe. Since she was a vocal coach, she'll probably have a pitch pipe in her pocket at all times to make sure that, when she does go into song, if she chooses to, she'll be getting the correct pitch.
Nice.
I have, and it could be, I leave this decision to you, Astrid. Would you want a well-thumbed copy, well-worn copy of your favorite aria that you sang, or something that might be a little bit more meaningful, like a holiday song?
Ooh.
What do you think is more in keeping with Astrid?
A well-thumbed copy of the Queen of the Night aria, because I never performed it. It was just a little beyond me. That's a really exceptionally hard piece. I can do it in rehearsal, but I don't have the confidence to do it on stage. It's always been my regret, and it's never going to happen now because my voice has changed with age. There's no way I could hit those notes now.
You're just IRL speaking my language. Like, never got a chance to do the Hallow rush.
I'm a choral low soprano or low alto myself, but I know a little bit about music.
Yeah, that is, yeah. That's an intense one, and I love it. I mean, that would be like the opera singer's version of the shower song. It's like you can do it in the shower, but you can't do it in performance. It's great.
I think maybe Astrid has a small case that contains whatever medical supplies she required to care for Leonid during his last days.
Very good.
Thank you. All right. So that leads to Diane. So again, go over what's in Diane's diary, and then we will let you know what is in Diane's cozy little place.
Sure. I'm just going to go ahead and read it out, I guess. So for my deceased partner, Gary was not a good husband, not a good man either by any honest measure, but he put food on the table and he put Donna through school. To be honest, I was relieved when he died, and to my great shame, I sometimes find myself wishing it had been sooner. The viewfinder of my camera has always been my escape, and I'm thankful for the success that my work enjoyed, but I'll always wonder about the things I missed while running for my life with Gary. Children and pets. Donna always had more of me than Gary in her, with the exception that she had the opportunity and will to leave. She left for university as soon as she could, and her life became something distant but beautiful. We love each other, and we make sure that that's known during our increasingly infrequent visits. And then before retiring to Brindlewood Bay, I ran You've Been Framed, a successful photography and framing business in Brindlewood Bay, but sold it when it became too hard to keep the hours, and the crushing weight of trying to find inspiration in yet another family photo session became too much to bear.
So now we just have to figure out what is in Diane's cozy little place. And I actually have an idea. Diane, what is the picture that you took? It doesn't have to be big, but if it is, I mean, like, it's because you're very, very proud of it. What is in the photograph that you are most full of pride about? Maybe didn't win any awards. Maybe you didn't sell it because it was just so good. But you kept it because you love it so much.
Let me think on that. I'll just put down the general idea, and then I'll give it some thought, and I'll fill it in. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great. No problem.
I got one. So you started the photography and framing business, but before that you maybe had a little side hobby doing like whittling. So you have a small set of carving tools that you keep just kind of on your person, or nearby for idle hands to keep yourself entertained.
All right.
From the things you've said about Gary and your marriage, it seems like that was always a very tense and unsettled time where you might have to pick up and take off or be prepared to. And so if this works for you, I'm thinking maybe you have kept a habit of keeping a go bag packed. Just a few important documents, some cash, some personal basics in a handy bag so that you can pick up and go if you have to.
I'm going to give Diane a ultra soft polishing cloth for the lens of her camera that she probably always has in her pocket, and she might use it if she wears glasses also.
Well, she
Just
does now.
A really nice, soft, high quality, and it's been with her forever since she had the business. It's her favorite one.
Somewhere between like a polishing cloth and a binky.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for all of these wonderful things for my cozy place.
Wonderful. All right. Effie, tell us about yourself.
So Todd Gray, wow, he was my everything. Met out at the pool. He was a lifeguard. He was just a little older than me, so of course he graduated and joined the military. I went on, got a teaching degree and continued to teach. When he returned from his military duty, he basically showed up with ring in hand, and I said yes. So one daughter later, and many 5Ks. We did like to speed walk. Not much for the running, bad knees, but yeah, he suddenly had a heart attack. Just, I guess we didn't eat as healthy as we thought we were, or genetics, or however it came about. But it was hard to continue in that lifestyle without him, since he was my we were each other's shadow, always doing everything together. So I basically finished out my tenure as a teacher, retired, took on a few odd jobs here and there before finally leaving, where I married Todd. And did I say Gary? No, I said Todd. Okay. Sorry, my brain glitched for a second. Where I met and married Todd, and we raised our daughter, and then found myself here in Brindlewood Bay trying to figure out kind of what I want to do with, my remaining days, besides building model cars, of course. So I mentioned I had one daughter, we had one daughter. She married a lovely woman, Maria, and they've decided not to have children, but I have many grand fur babies from them. They have a small sort of rescue that they like to take in, the stray animals of the world. So I don't see them as often as I would like, but we FaceTime regularly. Worked many years as a teacher, as I said, mostly in the middle school setting, but did dabble in other grades, as needed. And I know I like building cars, but the real passion behind the building them is I want to see them in a gallery. I don't know why, but I just think it would be the coolest thing ever. So that's Effie.
I've already got something.
Go for it.
A pencil bag of about this size that you used to keep writing utensils in, and now it's a bits and bobbins bag. And anything that you pick up that you find interesting, you just zip it right into that bag and put it in your pocket. So it's got like bits of wire and interesting seashells and little things that you find, rubber bands and push pins and stuff in there.
Yep. I like it.
I think from your racing days with Todd, I think you have, and it might have been his actually, it's a bit of an oversized sweatshirt, but what it has is not only the kangaroo pocket in the front that you would use for the races and what have you, but I mean, it has like holes in it from like all the pins to put your number on. It has like, a zip pocket inside the kangaroo pocket for extra stuff like energy gels and such. And then in behind it, not only has like, I don't know, like your favorite number on it, whatever. It also has another pocket where, you can actually slip in some other, rations, bars, like a water bottle, something. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. It's like you are literally a double-sided kangaroo in this thing. It's bigger than you, but it's so comfortable. You've had it for years, and you've forgotten who it belongs to, whether it be you or Todd. You won't let go of it. You usually have it.
All right. A comfy, tricked-out race hoodie.
Pretty much. Oh, what's your favorite number?
Oh,
you can think on it, but I mean, like, it's on the back of that sweatshirt.
When Todd left for his military service, just the last time you saw him before he left, he put a locket in your hand, a heart-shaped locket with It's probably honestly his high school graduation picture, because he wasn't the kind of guy to go and get a picture session done or something for this. But you know, he had photos. And you wore it every day that he was gone. When he came back, you didn't wear it regularly. You didn't need to. He was there. But since he died, you found it in an old jewelry box, and so you wear it now.
Every day.
I think that last year for Christmas, you used your modeling talents to make a diorama of 3 kitties and a puppy and a cockatiel and 2 ducks and a pig playing outside of a happy little house with the intent to send it to Chandra and Maria. But at the last minute, you looked at it and you thought, oh, that's so cheesy. And so you sent them a gift card instead, but you still have this diorama.
Yeah, that does check out. I feel called out, man.
I was going to say, and it's your homework to actually make that before the next session.
Homework accepted.
That's so cool. Sorry. Oh, Birdie, what about you?
All right, let's see. My deceased husband's name was Marvin. We met when he injured his leg. I was a labor and delivery nurse, but I was covering a shift for a friend of mine in the ER. We met when he had a freak carpentry accident and injured his hand. I remember he was so worried that he would lose the use of his fingers because he fancied himself a guitar player at the time. He was always playing instruments, guitar, saxophone, drums, bass. He was in a band, a different band every year. So when he was in the hospital, I attended while the plastic surgeon fixed his hand, and he made me promise to come visit him. And I said, no way. And, but then he came back every week, and he was just so persistent that eventually we ended up dating and then getting engaged and getting married. And we had 3 sons before he passed away. He died doing what he loved. He was a very accident-prone man, cross-country polo shooting. Don't ask me how that sport works. We had 3 strapping boys, all of which grew up to be successes in their own right, although they live far away from Brindlewood Bay now. I do see them on the high holidays, Adam, Benjamin, and Caleb. And we call whenever we can. And let's see, I grew up in Indianapolis. My father worked in a factory and mother was a nurse. I was a Girl Scout, and I took first place at County Fair 3 years running for my prize-winning guinea pigs. I worked as a labor and delivery nurse when I was young, and then I transitioned into a midwife. And then after that, I was a doula. The hours were a little better. And I took up knitting after I retired to make mittens and sweaters for my sons and their children. And I live by one motto, which is do no harm, take no guff.
Excellent. Oh my gosh. Birdie. Oh, I had something and now it's like completely out of my head. I'm just like, oh my God.
I think I got something.
Oh, wait, let's just clarify. So basically you were like an OBGYN labor and delivery. So,
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So your husband, Marvin, was really good at woodworking. And you've got a lot of miscellaneous little things that he's made over the years. But 1 year for your anniversary, he actually made you your motto, do no harm, take no guff, on a very nice plaque. And you keep it hanging up kind of like right in front of the door when you walk in. It's just like right there, letting people know what kind of space they're walking into, what vibes you got.
I love it. Is that how you spell plaque? I think that's kind of plaque that's on teeth.
Plaque. Yeah.
Okay, good. Wasn't sure if it was the same. I can't spell. I can read doctor's handwriting, but I can't spell.
I have one. I'm not a needle crafter myself, but this is based on a lot of people I know. There is one skein of yarn you bought that you're waiting to find the right project. It's your favorite color. It's gorgeously soft. It's like one of those silk alpaca blends. And you know the right project will come along eventually. Hasn't yet.
I feel very called out. Knew immediately what you were going to say. You were like, you have one skein of yarn? Dang it.
I have too many skeins of yarn, and it's like I have two projects, and I will probably never get to them. So I hear you. I hear you, IRL. All right. Trying to think. Shoot. Oh, I know. Okay, so I think you have, and you carry this around just for funsies. I mean, you know, I don't know if it comes in comes in handy for anything or what have you, but you do have a kit, small kit that you bring with you, possibly in your medical bag, possibly, you know, and your medical bag doesn't have to look like a medical bag. It could be like a messenger bag or something like that that you put stuff in. But I think you have like the knitting accessory bibs and bobs, you know, like, so it's like the little markers, the little hooks, like a tape measure. You have like the pins to kind of hold the yarn, like when, just in case you have to drop stitches for whatever reason. You just like have that. Not necessarily knitting needles. I mean, like, you can have them in your cozy little place if you want, but for some reason you specifically have this little kit with you.
I think you have a collection of quilts, and each square in each quilt was added every time you helped usher a life into this world.
Okay. My goodness, I love these characters just for the cozy little places. So cute. Okay, so before we get into the mystery a little bit, we're going to take a 10-minute break. So it'll be like at the 57 mark on my clock, and then in that interim period, think about what your costume looks like. Y'all been invited to the same Halloween party. What does your costume look like? All right, so I'll see you in 10. Okay, so another reason to love this game is the fact that the session 1, most of the stuff that I said, is in the book. So you can follow along pretty much like, you know, from top to bottom, soup to nuts, and it'll get you through the first session, and you basically get through pretty much the whole game. And then, you know, you just, you know, repeat ad infinitum, or at least until the void mystery is over. So we are at the section where for the beginning of the session, and if we look under the Mavens tab of the character keeper, we will see a whole bunch of different things. But there is a section called end of session. So when we finish a session, and usually like, you know, at the end of the game per se, like if we finish a mystery, you will mark off the first question. If it happened, did the murder mavens solve a mystery? These end of session questions fill in like XP for your character, and the fulfilling of 5 XP boxes means that you get an advancement of some sort. Okay, so first question is always the same for everyone: did the murder mavens solve a mystery? And then the other two questions are your choice. So there are drop-down boxes in there, and then you would, in play, try to answer these questions with your role play. All right. So you would just pick the questions that you think would be the most likely that you can try to hit during the session. And then if you answer them by the end of the session, then you get the XP for it. Okay. All right. So that's the end of session questions. Once you finish picking out your two questions, we're going to go to what's known as cozy vignettes. Now, this game is all about cozy, so we'll be referring to this thing like a lot. In this particular case, cozy vignettes are how you start off the game. Thinking of Brindlewood Bay as a TV show, and this would be essentially during the credit crawl in the beginning. So each player would narrate a short vignette showing their Maven enjoying her life in Brindlewood Bay. The scene should be light and breezy or warm and cozy, showing your Maven enjoying her hobbies, helping with a community project, or just working around her home. Okay? So, again, each one of you will narrate a little piece here. So the Brindlewood Bay theme song comes on, da, 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 da. And then we open up on a scene. Who would be first, you think?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Should our scene kind of relate to the like the game we're about to be playing, or just a very general like peek into the life?
Peek into the life, I would say.
Okay.
It's like more appropriate because, I mean, there are going to be moves in here, like the crowns that will start to make the game a little bit darker.
Okay.
You know, once we get to that part of the mysteries. But, you know, for right now, since we're just starting off the show, this is like, you know, your pilot episode introducing you all in your element. Okay? So, whoever wants to start.
I'll start.
Okay.
So, like early morning, you know, that typical like little bit of frost on the ground, and you see just like that speed walking. You know, I'm coming around. I've got, you know, my earbuds in, you know, just jamming out to whatever. And then I pause, and just something's caught my eye. You see me just veer off the track, and I bend down and I pick up a feather and just kind of turn it over. It's not a particularly interesting feather, just small, white, a little bit dirty. I kind of like brush off the dirt, you know, take it all in, tuck it into my pocket, get back on the track, keep going. A few minutes later, stop again. I found a small stick. Oh, this will make a perfect tree. Yes, it's just the right size. Stick it into my pouch. Going on. And this is just, that's me. That's my day, or at least how I start the morning.
Who do we add to this montage next? I mean, either in passing as Effie does her rounds with her speed walk-in, or maybe we cut to that side of town where you are. Who's next?
I think maybe we cut to Diane next. It's like we have a scene of Diane who is in her dark room, and you know, she flips the switch to turn off the lights and everything goes black for a little while, and then comes back in like an impossibly bright scene because, you know, you have to have light to film it, right? And so you know, you can see her going and turning on a radio, but you can't hear the music that's playing because obviously we're playing our theme, you know, our theme music right now, right? But whatever it is very energetic, and she's sort of like dancing around in the dark room, developing some film, doing like cool moves and moonwalks and stuff like that. And like when she starts to hang up her film, you know, it begins to develop so you can see it. You see each of the other cast members. And then it will go to whoever is going to be next and sort of focus on them for a while. And then whatever they're doing, it will turn from a black and white into a color, and then they'll start moving.
Love it. So who do we zoom in on that film?
Well, I think we zoom in on Astrid. Sitting at her kitchen table, which has a window that looks out on a lovely bit of woods. trees are very, very bright with autumn leaves out there, and the sun is streaming in. Sitting at the table, and the transition from black and white to color is especially vivid, not just because of the trees, but because of the colors of the paper that I have spread around the table in front of me. And I'm clearly in a mode to play with folding flower patterns. So I'm doing all kinds of different, there's a completed rose on the table, and right now I'm working on a lily and getting the curve of the petals just so.
All right, I guess that leaves Birdie. We're going to cut to Birdie as she is running errands throughout the little downtown area of Brindlewood Bay. She's stopping at the yarn shop, going in and saying hi to everybody, and coming out with a bag that has way too many skeins of yarn in it. Pushing that. She's got that over her shoulder. She's at the grocery store. She says hi to the baby at the grocery store and has a little chat with the baby's mom. And then finally she's back home, and you can see her settling in with her knitting.
Very nice. All right. And then it fades into the pan of the town itself, and then you see the title card of Brindlewood Bay. So, I think it enters the scene of you all in some quiet montage, getting the invitation, whether together in pairs or by yourselves, from the resident known as Abner Vidal. He's a retired filmmaker, famous for gonzo B-grade pictures. You've all been invited to his fabulous Brindlewood Bay home, mansion, in fact, for a Halloween party. So, I want to know, do you all go together as a group? And what are each of your costumes as you go? I mean, like, are you taking all the same car? Like, who's driving? And what are your costumes?
I think it would be fun to go as a group. We might well
Yeah.
have discussed this at a book club meeting.
That's what I'm thinking. We're all powering up.
Yeah.
Agreed. We should go together.
Probably not in my car because I have a tiny little car. Not fun. Technically possible to fit 4 people in, but not fun.
We can take my car. I still have the minivan.
There we go.
All right. I'll pile in. Diane, you coming with us as well, or you coming on your own?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
And I'm glad we got the minivan because, well, my costume's kind of big.
What's your
Ooh.
costume?
So she shows up in like a Skeksis costume from like, yeah, from the Dark Crystal. And so like, it's got this huge long nose, and she's like trying to fit in the minivan, but she can't like squeeze in. So she has to sit sideways like this. And she has no idea what it is. She says that she's Zombie Big Bird.
Love it. Love it. My costume would be a little bit more subtle. First glance, I definitely look some sort of like I've been, I don't know, attacked or, beat up. Like you can see there's blood splatters. There's maybe a few like fake bruises and stuff. Upon closer inspection, you will see a number of small model birds are attached all over me, as I'm from the birds.
Astrid is dressed as a silent movie flapper, specifically Louise Brooks. So I've got the iconic smooth, shiny, short bob hair. It's a wig. And I've done my makeup black and white as well as the dress. So I'm entirely in grayscale.
Well, I'm sorry to report that Birdie is going as a nurse. I already had all the stuff. I didn't have to buy anything extra. With a hat. Nurse's hat.
You'll probably play it off better than most of us anyways, since you know the part.
Pretty much. Oh my goodness. All right. So you drive to this home, which is somewhat in, but not quite out of Brindlewood Bay. This would probably be more on the outskirts because he needs that much land. So we're going to start with the paint the scene mechanic of this game, which is you answer the question. Each of you will give a detail. As you approach Abner's house, what ostentatious thing do you see outside that reminds you Abner doesn't fit in with Brindlewood Bay's stuffy upper crust? Also, it's like when you come out, just want to make sure that we know how you're coming out of the house, out to the house, out of the minivan. Just like, like tell me how you're removing yourself out of the van. Sorry.
I think the ostentatious and arguably tacky detail is not one, but a scene composed of those 12-foot skeletons from Home Depot. Like 2 of them in pilgrim hats, burning one in a witch's hat at a stake.
So tacky and classy at the same time. So I'm gonna say, as we're pulling up, we see the groups of people getting out of their vehicles, and there is one thing that strikes us, as a little bit odd and kind of stuck up is there are valets coming around. They're dressed like the extras from Michael Jackson's Thriller, but they're coming around and they're offering up a ticket and taking your key and actually parking your car in the very obvious parking area though.
I think from the parking area, there's actually a very ill thought, like horse and carriage that takes the people from the parking area up to the door, but the distance is so short that it's kind of pointless. And the line is getting so long because it is taking forever to get everyone loaded into the thing that it's just become a huge nuisance. But it looks really cool because, there's mostly black horses and like a spray painted black carriage.
Can I add something small to that?
Of
a little
course.
detail?
Of course.
Driver is he wants to be a headless horseman, but it's a really bad knockoff headless horseman costume.
Like his neck goes up to here and you can see 2 eye slits down here or something like that. Right.
It's painfully obvious that it's just a costume.
Right.
His mom might have made it for him.
It's knit.
It's knit.
Hey, Lib, get down off of there.
I'm going to say that in the very brief ride in the carriage with the discount headless horseman, from the window of the carriage that is spray painted black and probably smells terrible, you can see a series of very kitschy Cupid cherub statues in the landscaping up to the manor, and they're all doing something inappropriate. Various scenes of inappropriateness just out in the garden for everybody to see.
Question about those. Are there lighting, is there up lighting on it to,
definitely. Oh, definitely. Definitely. It's solar too. So.
Oh yeah.
No turning that off.
Sun goes down and Cupid's come up.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this game. Oh God. Okay. Sorry. So, well, you've all gotten out of the car in your respective costumes. How long is this nose that you're wearing, Diane?
It's pretty long. It's probably like 3 times the length of, her actual head. So it's like pretty pokey,
I think she smacked me 4 times in the car.
probably.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Do you keep your head down, or are you just kind of like, bravely keeping your head up
think-
and seeing what happens?
I think that like her distance vision isn't super good. So she can't wear her glasses in the thing, right? So she is kind of like she's walking very slowly and she's just sort of testing things. Like she comes to the door and she's kind of like testing it with the tip of her nose. And she's like making big exaggerated movements, and it's just very frustrating for her.
I think as you're doing this, because I'm imagining nobody wants to get in front of you.
Probably not.
No, I think that is happening. I think that like the door suddenly opens after like a couple of taps, and then Abner almost gets skewered by the nose as he ducks wearing his big tin King Tut outfit. Like you see the big pharaoh's hat, and then the very shiny, glittery robes that he's wearing, just showing off his chest. And like he's still kind of like pretty fit for his age. I mean, like he's probably like a contemporary of yours. And he's he's just like kind of like, whoa, oh goodness, who is that? Diane, is that you?
I heard there's an open bar.
Oh, yes, but
I need to know where it is.
okay, wait. Just lower the nose. All right. Okay. Good seeing you. All right, great. Welcome, ladies. This is a wonderful thing. I mean, like you look wonderful. Well, I mean, maybe not the nose part. You may want to be careful about that, Diane. Oh, and Birdie. I mean, you look lovely.
I'm a nurse.
That's why he's saying he's lovely. So, I mean, but you don't have to be on duty tonight, just so you know. I mean, it's like, this is a party. Enjoy yourself. And then, oh, Astrid, huh. Yeah, I mean, like, the zombie look doesn't quite do you, just so you know.
She's the monochrome.
Wait. Oh, wait. Is that from one of my last pictures? Ugh. Sometimes I do so many, I forget like what they are. Oh, I recognize her now. I gotcha. All right, cool. And Effie? I guess
The birds?
Oh, I would have said it's like, from my the last, no, second to last film. It's like Blood Splatter 6. I thought like the birds were like from like, from Roadkill. All right.
I was thinking more Blood Splatter 5,
Oh,
but
maybe,
there's that one
maybe.
scene about 3/4 of the way through. You know the one outside the ice cream shop.
You're right. You're totally right. But I mean, like, but I, the casting director said it's like, that the extra needed to be splattered with a few more birds. It's like they kind of got in the way of the film. Sorry, Anyway, come in. And then like he ushers you in, and then like you will see many people around. I mean, there you see like a very curvy woman in a vampiress costume. You see a fellow in a monster Frankenstein's monster costume who's kind of like in a corner, not really doing anything except like possibly nursing a drink. And then there's like a louder man in a Phantom of the Opera costume. I mean, you might recognize his voice at least a little bit, Astrid. He is one of the businessmen in town, Sam Turlington. And then, of course, there's Coco, Abner's wife, who's in a Cleopatra costume, of course. All right. And there seems to be a surly looking fellow like over by the bar that's not dressed in a costume, unless he's going for the rumpled salesman look. Who knows? But these are the kinds of, and then there's like, other people that are milling about as well. But, come on in, like, get some refreshments and, like, meet some people here at the party. All right.
Diane, would you like me to help you?
Oh, please. And I'll probably need a straw.
Okay. I'll kind of like push her nose to like direct her, like walk alongside, make sure like move people out of the way.
That is the kind of costume that needs a handler.
She's bird-like, I'm birds, it works.
Okay.
Birds of a feather.
So you are welcome to spread out, meet some people, I'd like just let you know about some of the folks that are here at the party. Yeah, so we're just gonna have like a scene, like a few short scenes here of like, you interacting with the folks that have made their way here to the party. And just so you know, it's like this assumes that you have met Sheriff Dalrymple before, who is the law enforcement here in Brindlewood Bay. He's not quite that great at his job, but somehow he still keeps it. So yeah, he may or may not be a a pleasant presence here at the party, but he's around.
Have we seen him? Is he in a costume?
No, you have not seen him
Okay.
yet, but I mean, like, usually he's invited to some of these things because, again, law enforcement and, maybe or may not be, not even sure, friends with the Vidals, with Abner and Coco. So where would you like to go? There's like, people by the bar, there's people milling about. There's like Monster Mash and like, the usual Halloween favorites, like, playing on the radio somewhere, which you can hear. And then there's the Halloween lights, like orange and yellows, that have been strung up like in the veranda, like off to the side and in the back. Okay. So yeah, where would you like to go? What would you like to do?
Well, I'm assisting at the moment, Diane, and with beverage package for her, including straw and probably, I keep bending down and trying to like look into like the mouth or something, and I'm like, what else do you want in here? More grenadine? Okay. Trying to figure out what she wants.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and so Diane's got her drink and she's got a straw and she has to hold her head like this so she can stick it in the mouth and drink, and she's just kind of looking around and happy being led at the moment.
Okay, with my skills of my like kind of like tinkering sort of skills, I'm going to like attach several straws together so that it like reaches up and in, so you don't have to keep tilting awkwardly and then like risk getting off balance.
I love it, and it'll probably look like she's feeding me a worm or something, right?
Yeah, I definitely use like bendy straws.
Bendy straws and stuff. Yeah.
There you go.
The curvy woman wearing the vampiresque costume, like, sidles over to you as you're doing this. It's like, and she's got, she has like minimal makeup, amazingly enough, but I mean, like, it's just the wash of white to make her look pale, and undead. And, she has like the drips of blood like at the side of her mouth. And you might recognize her if any of you are fans of Abner's films. This is Elena Visage. She is a frequent star of Abner's films. And she comes over and says, "Oh, that's a unique costume. Oh, is that from one of Abner's other movies? The ones that I wasn't in? Because I don't recognize it."
I hope not. The good news is I still have the receipt.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, like, I hope you're okay in there. I mean, because it sounds like, you're coming out of a well.
I'm fine, thank you. I'm just dedicated to my craft.
Oh, yeah, they said that about me once. But now I have to play the mother of the the main character because it's like now they want me in the matronly roles. Can you believe it? As she's got like, double taped both sides and just like the deep dive of the collar, and she's showing it off. Still looks kind of good, but
But you can tell.
but you can tell. I mean, surely you've seen my work. Variety once said that my performance in Devil Women from Planet X was the most acting they've ever seen. And she's smiling at you.
Yeah, I did see that one. I did like the acting. Yes, yes. However, the sets on that, he did such a good job with the dioramas that got into some of the small little alien areas and the centerpieces. That's where his work shined for me.
I almost tripped over some of those, so I had to be really careful. I didn't have my contacts in that day, so I had to be, really careful. They had to kind of direct me over a little bit, maybe a little bit too much to the side. I mean, you kind of caught half of me in some of the scenes, but I guess it was okay. Ugh.
Meanwhile, I'm on the other side of
Okay.
Diane and Effie
Mhm.
from Elena, rolling my eyes, and I say under my breath, "You want to see something really scary? Watch a birthing video." And I'm going to turn to the rumpled salesman, who I think is also by the bar on my side,
Yep.
and say, "What are you supposed to be?"
He's actually pretty handsome, for looking like pretty rumpled, because, he's got like that chiseled look, and his eyes are quite piercing, like maybe like a bright blue. And, yeah, I'm supposed to be the manager from Hollywood that came over on a plane, trying to drum up some business for Abner all these years. Goodness. Ugh. These parties are, he's kind of waving around a drink and he's not offering you anything. These parties are a waste of time. The people in this backwater are never going to accept Abner as one of their own. Ugh, I'm not even sure why he tries. I need to get him back to Hollywood. Los Angeles misses Abner Vidal. And he's like waving his drink in your face.
I think I'm going to order a drink.
He's kind of like looking you over and it's like, so are you doing like nursing duty tonight, or is that like, is that
I'm a
actually costume?
nurse. It's my costume. I'm a nurse.
Okay, just making sure. I obviously did not try to get dressed up. Straight from a plane. Maybe you were coming straight from work. How do I know,
It's a costume party. The invitation said to dress up. I dressed up. I'm a nurse.
I rolled out of the plane. I'm a businessman. I'm a manager. A harried manager. Does that count as a costume? I don't know.
It does not.
Oh. All right. And he, he pushes the drink that you ordered over to you and says, well, enjoy what you can. Hopefully. Ugh. Anyway.
I'd like a classic highball whiskey.
Ooh. Smooth. All right. So, and then he makes you the drink and then presents it. Kind of looks at you with a different eye at this point. And just kind of like says, see him have a lot of, well, I kind of hope that he's doing okay, but if anything, I'm just hoping that he thinks about coming back to Hollywood sometime soon. Sticking around here ain't gonna get him any more awards or accolades.
Why did he move here in the first place? There's things more important in life than awards and accolades.
That's a very good question. I've got to try to pin him down and get that answer. Although, if you look over at Sam over there, maybe that's part of the reason why he's not willing to come back to LA yet. Ugh. And he's like juts his chin over at the Phantom of the Opera guy who's like, talking it up over in another corner with the Frankenstein's monster person. Although he looks like he's doing more talking and the other one's just doing a lot of nodding. So.
And what's your name, young man?
Oh, I'm Marcus Greaves, but thank you very much. I'm like not quite so young. Known Abner like what, these 20 years now? I mean, I thank you though. It's like LA does some nice things for me over there. And he winks at you.
Yeah, must be all that sunshine.
Yeah, check out my tan. And then he's kind of like, pulling his collar down and just kind of showing you. It's like, yeah, there's a deep tan there. So.
I'm turning to Astrid. Astrid, save me.
I'm in response, I am apparently not hearing you, but saying, oh, this hem, the trim's coming down again. Could you help me fix this? Which way is the the restroom, bathroom? Yes. I am trying to withdraw from the party for a few moments, not trying to leave entirely, but break Birdie out of this conversation.
I think
Wait a few minutes and come back, whether or not we've actually gone to a bathroom or not. Just get out of sight.
I think
So sorry.
No.
Marcus, dear, I have to go. My friend needs my help. You have fun with Los Angeles.
And he toasts you with like his glass raised and then goes back to sipping gloomily in his drink. And yeah, I mean, as you say that, Astrid, I mean, like Coco, like resplendent in her Cleopatra costume, is like, oh, you need the bathroom? Oh my goodness, it's over there. And then she's got like her beautifully graceful arm, like kind of flinging it down the hallway and then just saying, it's like, go 3 doors down and it's like almost at the kitchen. If you find yourself outside, you've gone too far. All right. And then it's like, oh, lovely Elena, come on. I mean, tear yourself away from this drink. Okay. Like, let's come over here and talk about like the last picture. Right. And then, yeah. So you're directed to the bathroom.
So since I have been directed, I will actually go to the room and drag Birdie with me for on the pretense of fixing this invisible problem with my hem.
It is a big bathroom. It is not like a teensy weensy bathroom. Let's put it that way. So
well, room for costume repairs should they actually be needed.
Pretty much. They have a tub and a shower, like a glass shower box. Excuse. And toilets like in a side corner behind some tiling. And yeah, I mean, like there's plants here, there's a big ass window, and then there's like, enough room to be able to sleep on the floor if you need to. But I mean, it's a huge ass place.
Is there like a fainting couch, like a soft cushioned chair or something to sit in?
Yes. It's almost like a little waiting bench with like exceptionally velvety padding, but yeah. So
I'm gonna sit on that and drink my drink.
There you go. Okay. All right.
Well, so far I will say the company is not entirely sparkling here, but
never did understand those Hollywood types. I mean, maybe it's because I grew up in that, that city that I grew up in. What is in this?
It seems a bit strong, I will say. I think I will probably stick to a glass of wine since I don't know the bartender and don't know how they might mix things. But as soon as you're ready, we can head back in there.
Oh, Astrid, you're always so responsible. I'm ready now if you want to go back.
Okay.
And Effie and Diane, I mean, so you figured out this thing that you're doing with Diane's mask beak thing. Where are you going next?
I'm assuming there's some sort of like food
Yes.
snack, like finger foods or snack
Yeah.
foods or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm probably kind of perusing it, not necessarily to eat, but being as he is very showy, and they like to like do things up. I'm probably like almost more like taking notes of like, oh, that's so great the way they made the like, the pig in a blanket look like fingers, or like that, like, oh, the jello mold is a brain. Okay, like getting into like the more like the technical, taking a little plate full of stuff, but and then offering some to Diane, like, can I get you something? You want some crackers, or what you want in there, Diane?
I made enough of a fool of myself trying to drink in this thing. There's no way I'm going to eat tonight. I'll just starve. It's fine.
Hold on. So how? And I'm like trying to look in. I'm like, how big is like the opening between like your neck? Like how much wiggle room you got in there?
It feels like my head is in a different room. I don't know.
I'm like, I'll see if what I can maybe think up. All right, I'll see what I got. But if you were so inclined to eat, what are you in the mood for? Salty, savory, sweet?
I always love sweet things, so sure. Candy?
I think like near you is the Frankenstein's monster costumed fellow.
Mhm.
I think underneath, I mean, he's kind of done up where it's like the part with the bolts and stuff. I mean, like it's a hat essentially covering his head, and he kind of just like looks gloomily over at you and says, and it's like, well, that looks uncomfortable. You recognize him as Gordon Thune. He's the local banker, and he's a pillar of the community. And he reminds people of that when he can. But yeah, I mean, he's like there at the party, and he's kind of like just like hanging there, making like he's listening to the Phantom of the Opera guy. But I mean, like he's just kind of like putting in his 2 cents because like he notices you there, and the other guy's just talking, continually talking.
Is that the way he's talking to us? Is that more along the lines of his normal demeanor, or is that obviously he's acting like Frankenstein's monster, kind of like that mellow, sort of monstery feel?
He's kind of stuffy. He's kind of put upon, and that's his usual thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Who knows what kind of depraved nonsense Abner has planned for us at this party? These Hollywood types, they're just
I'm
different.
interested in finding out because this food isn't doing it for me. What do you think's going to happen next?
I don't know. I mean, he's a pretty important bank customer, so I'm actually hoping it'll be good, but maybe not. Normally I wouldn't be here, but I was invited, so, gotta represent. And so, you need help? I mean, like, I can, well, can't you just take the mask off? Does that help?
I'm dedicated to my craft, Gordon. I'm dedicated to my craft.
It's a party. Oh, wait. Yeah, I guess. So you're falling in with these Hollywood types too, huh?
It's a costume party, not just a party. I don't see you taking off your hat.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, I don't have trouble eating, and as he's saying this, he's cramming like one of the little pigs in the blanket in his face. So, I mean, if you're hungry enough, I would suggest taking it off and at least enjoying yourself. He sounds that put upon.
That's so miserable.
Yeah.
I'll kind of lean down enough so that like Diane can hear my sort of whisper and be like, if you want, we could smuggle a plate to the bathroom so nobody will see you take it off.
Oh, that's a good idea. Diane's going to start just piling food on a plate.
Imagine you
Apparently.
like blindly doing it too. You're
Yeah, just grabbing stuff.
She
I
tries
think-
to use like the little forks and toothpicks and things like that, but then it just
I'll grab a
becomes an
bowl that's like
asshole, so.
almost empty, that has like the last couple, like 4 like pigs in a blanket, like slide it closer and just like push it right within range. And I'm like, here's a bowl.
I think as you're doing that, and as like Gordon's kind of like watching you, Sam Turlington, who is the Phantom of the Opera guy, you know him as a local businessman, and he's like friendly, boisterous, and just like talking a mile a minute, and he's still talking to Gordon, because Gordon's the banker, and saying, I'll tell you this, Abner Vidal isn't just a filmmaking visionary. No, he has also got a great mind for business. I mean, the plans that we're hatching for that Bayside property, they're gonna make Brindlewood Bay an internationally renowned vacation spot. I mean, we're kind of popular as it is, but maybe not for the best of reasons. But we're gonna turn that around. We're gonna totally turn that around. Absolutely, for sure. And his mask is almost starting to fall off because he's so excited. Keeps talking. Do you need help with that? I mean, you look like you're piling on the food there.
We wanted to get a good sampling, yes. And we have we wanted to try to make some modifications, perhaps to Diane's mask, so that she could eat without removing it. It does require sampling from the table.
Gotcha.
To see what
All
works.
right.
We need to try all the shapes of food.
Well, don't forget to take some of the utensils and stuff. I mean, some of this stuff needs to be cut down, unless you're willing to play a game and pop it through the mouth hole. I mean, that's a party game, right? I mean, oh, that's right. Abner's got some bobbing for apples planned for us later on. I mean, it's out in the back somewhere. I forget when, but yeah, I mean, we're just kind of easing in with the drinks first. Just kind of
My money's on you, Diane, that you're going to win those bobbing.
I envision
apples.
I'm going to have great success at bobbing for apples.
Pull up like a pelican. Oh yeah, let's go.
I don't know. Is that cheating? Because I mean, poking it with a costume nose, that doesn't quite fit the spirit of the game.
It's not a nose; it's a mouth. Beaks or mouths.
Oh,
and she would be using her mouth.
Who elected you the rule maker?
No one. I mean, I'm just making a comment. I mean, we're talking about games and well, anyway. I mean, rules and regulations, hey, anything to just make a deal, yeah? So.
It's bobbing for apples.
Well, I mean, everybody that's going to be playing needs to be agreeing to the parameters. I mean, just like in business.
All right.
I bet you're fun at parties.
I
And
am.
then she's going to just turn around and leave with the big bowl of
Smacking
food.
She might actually smack him in a
Yes.
little bit as she's leaving. Do you guys try to repair to the bathroom? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
As I see you looking around a bit, I'm pointing out where the bathroom is.
She's like, thank you. And then turns and starts bobbing, heads bobbing.
I wish you with a big bowl of
right
goodies.
Yeah.
Get lost.
I think as you are directing Effie and Diane to to a quieter place to go have some victuals, I think Birdie and Astrid, I think that June Willoughby will sidle up to you. She's pretty. She's around your age. She's a local friend of the Vidals, and she's currently in a sock hop costume. She's looking a little, filling it out a little bit too much, per se. And she's kind of oh, just look at this place. Everything is so ostentatious. And it's just like Coco to buy this cheap swill. And she's holding up a glass. Champagne. Who ever heard of champagne? What? What is this?
I was just thinking about getting a glass, but champagne?
Champagne. How are you, Astrid?
I'm fine, thank you. Just arrived a few minutes ago, so I'm still seeing who's here and what the plans for the evening are. You know if it's just cocktail party like this, or are there games and things? Or
Oh, I think they're going to have games. They usually do because, well, I mean, there's so much room in this place, of course. I heard bobbing for apples, I guess, sometime a little bit later. But I think we just want to make sure that we're well fed and well, drunk with this. She's just like disparaging about it, of course. Oh, what do you think of my outfit? I mean, don't I look great?
it's very cute.
And she's
Say,
swirling
mentally reserving comment.
Well, I mean, as she's swirling the skirt around, like, so you could see, like, it's got the like the little ruffles, crinoline underneath to make it puff up a little bit, with the poodle on the side. You see that in the back, you see that the shirt part is not quite all the way down, and she's kind of popping out of it.
Oh, here, if you wouldn't, one moment, I just want to help you.
What is it?
Just
You
a little
know,
bit.
wearing restrictive clothes can be bad for your health.
What? What do you mean restrictive? I mean, I feel great in this. I mean, she's still shuffling around, and you can see it's kind of.
I'm trying to help with it.
I mean, I had this when I was in high school. Isn't it great?
Yes, it still
Fits. Yes. And she's really proud of it.
Astrid is one of those Astrid is one of those people who has remained slender by a combination of discipline, but mostly just that's her natural shape, and so she doesn't think about it much, but she's a very great contrast here. But
Birdie's built like a D-cell battery.
And it's wonderful. It's just, this is where someone is trying to be recapturing youth that probably should have been left in the past.
yeah,
Have some more champagne, darling.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm probably going to go over to Marcus and see if he can give me something like a little bit brisker. What do you think?
there's that awful looking green punch with the dry ice in it.
Oh.
You should try the whiskey. That's what I'm having. It's a
Oh,
highball.
Nice. Okay. Did he make it well? I mean, like, does it taste good?
It tastes strong.
Okay. And then she kind of like flounces off.
Well, you got a drink. I have not yet gotten a drink, so I'm going to go with her in the direction of the bar.
Okay.
Watch out for the champagne.
Yes.
It's quite yellow and it's quite bubbly. I think you can tell what it is. And then Coco is like, going around. I mean, she's a little bit taller than everybody else except for possibly Elena. And she is like, holding in one hand like a globe glass or whatever the heck they call them of this stuff. And then with her other hand with like a bunch of bangles on it, she's like just gesturing and then talking about the movies that she was in, or like, the movies that Abner has made, and, just like, talking it up. And, she basically says, Abner, someone needed more ice. Can you please go out in the back and then please go grab some of the ice from the bag? We can't have Mrs. White go and get it. I mean, it's so heavy for her. Please. And then it's like, okay, all right, hold on. And then he finishes talking with Sam, in the Phantom of the Opera costume, and Marcus, who's still over by the bar. All right, well, host work is never done. Let me go ahead and get more stuff for the drinks. All right, and yeah, he's headed out back. And what do you get at the bar, Astrid?
Having been warned off the champagne, I would like to know what white wines they have, having a horrible suspicion it's going to be Chardonnay. Period. But
mm-hmm. Like somebody else's. Yeah, go ahead.
In which case, white wine spritzer.
There's a disinterested looking bartender, and he grabs your order, kind of gives Marcus the side eye because Marcus is a little bit too close at the bar, and will make your white wine spritzer pretty perfunctorily, and then hand it to you as they're almost spritzing Marcus by accident. But I think you can tell it's like, get away, fly, get away.
Even though this is a private party, I am sliding a tip toward the bartender because clearly you should not have to put up with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and she just kind of winks at you and just says, thanks. And then I think it kind of goes on for a little bit, and you still hear the music going. And then Coco's talking about how the apples are going to be, just kind of softening them up a little bit, and then wondering where Abner is. And then a moment later, you hear a shrill scream.
Oh dear.
Everyone has turned towards the veranda. Out back.
I'm just openly heading in that direction.
Okay. I think when you go out, I mean, is everybody going or just heading in that direction?
Yep. Yeah, I'm assuming by this point we've come back from the bathroom. Yeah. Diane has been fed. won't eat my arm off while I'm trying to, handle her.
It was a close call.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, the maid of the Vidals, whom you had not met, she is a woman that is in a maid's outfit, rather curmudgeonly looking, but has a set of cat ears placed on her irritable head. She has been the one who's screaming. The way you can tell is because she has eyes that look like they're popping out of her head, her fists underneath her chin, and she's in the middle of another scream as everybody comes onto the veranda. Abner has his head submerged in the apple bobbing bucket. And then you see the bulk of Sheriff Dalrymple coming by out on the veranda and said, "What's going on out here? Oh, another one. Huh. Okay. All right. No one leaves," he's trying to say loudly. And then counting for everybody at this party. It's nobody leaves, nobody, absolutely no one. And then you see a couple of figures that look like they're in costume, but I think you recognize them as a couple of the deputies for Dalrymple, like around, and then they're kind of stationing themselves near the doors to make sure that nobody surreptitiously leaves. And so, yeah, Abner is dead on the veranda. What would you like to do?
I think Diane is going to look at Sheriff Dalrymple and say, "Oh, hi, Sheriff. I see you came to the party dressed like a law enforcement officer."
He just kind of gives that slow turn to you and says, "Yes. And Diane, you are dressed like..."
"I'm Zombie Big Bird. Come on."
"Yeah. Okay. You're not leaving either, all right? None of you are leaving. And he's like yelling to everybody out in the veranda. We are conducting an investigation. So, everybody stay put. We will interview you in one of the back rooms in a few minutes. Like, we're going to get organized, but again, nobody leaves this party. Now, you, as the Murder Maven book club, have been known around town to solve some things like this. So this is not your first rodeo in the murder investigation business. And you know that Sheriff Dalrymple is not the most competent at his job. So this is very well within your purview to help find out who might have done this. What would you like to do first?
I'm going to approach the maid. Do I know her name? Have I heard somebody call her by name?
Yes, Mrs. White.
Okay. I've dealt with a lot of big personalities in my career.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people for whom florid displays of emotion are a day-to-day thing. Not saying I've never been one. But I am going to stand in front of her, make her look at me, and say, Mrs. White.
Yeah.
I know this is very alarming, but you need to calm down now.
She looks like she's in the middle of a half scream and then just kind of like forcibly closes her mouth and then puts her hands over her mouth.
Deep breath in. Hold. And okay.
And
Better?
Yes.
Why don't we sit down?
We can do that, but Mr. Vidal was bound to go and get himself killed at some point. I'm surprised it took this long.
Really?
The person I'm more worried about is poor Mrs. Vidal. Someone needs to make sure she's looked after. And as she's saying this, then you hear the wail of Coco. My Abner! And like it's if you've heard coloratura in your time, Astrid, this is spiraling above that into dog levels of
Yeah, this is not merely whistle tone. This is dog whistle tone.
This is dog whistle tone. And somewhere in there, the parts that are heard, you hear, why would anyone want to kill my Abner? He's so harmless. Oh, it's true, he snores quite a bit, and sometimes a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to dining out. But why? Why would anyone want to kill him over stuff like that? And then she's like pretty much back on her knees and she is draping herself over his dead body, which is still submerged partially into the bucket, the galvanized bucket.
I think Diane is going to go and sort of like, put her hands on Coco's shoulders and put her beak next to Coco's cheek and just like whisper, to her that everything is going to be okay, or some other nonsense that is completely devoured by the cavernous maw that is sitting in front of Diane's mouth right now. But it's going to try to sort of like gently pull her away from the body.
She will slowly let you pull her away. It's like, and she just starts sobbing. It's like, why? I don't understand. I mean, he's so wonderful. Why would anybody do this? And then Mrs. White comes to you, Diane, and says, I'm gonna take her upstairs. She needs to be away from all this. And then she just gives this pointed look over at Sheriff Dalrymple's direction and says, tell him if he needs to talk to Mrs. Vidal, he can do it upstairs where she can get comfortable.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, while this is all going on, Birdie's going to move closer to the deceased and try and move the body just out of the water and onto the floor next to the apple bobbing bucket and see if there's anything that I can gather just by looking at it, maybe checking his vitals to make sure that he's really dead, like maybe assess the cause of the death.
Absolutely. So we can do our first move of the game, which is the meddling move. When you search for a clue, conduct research or otherwise gather information. Describe how you're doing it and roll with an appropriate ability. So you're using your physician's background, to be able to do this. And there's 4 stats. Sorry, I have to look at this. No, sorry. 5 stats, I can count, that we use in Brindlewood Bay. Vitality, composure, reason, presence, and sensitivity. In this case, because you are conducting yourself as a physician, you are going to be using reason to do this. So you would roll 2d6, all right, and then you would add your reason score, okay?
Okay, let's see. My reason is 1.
So roll 2d6 dice. Excuse me.
Okay, looks like I got a 6.
Okay. All right. So, oh boy. Let's see. In Brindlewood Bay and other PBTA type games, it runs off of a 7 to 9 is a mixed result. 10 plus is a success. Anything 6 and below is a miss. So, in this case, tell you what would happen, and you would have the choice of going with it, or you can use what's known as a crown here in Brindlewood Bay. All right, so under the Mavens tab, there are 2 types of crowns available to you. Crown of the Queen is representing your idea of the Maven as a woman and can be marked in any order, so you can pick any one of those of the list, okay? Crown of the Void is representing the effects of the dark conspiracy on your Maven, and these must be marked in order. And the final box heralds your ultimate retirement, okay? So that gets the game a little bit into the darker spaces, so you can make a choice, but just know that your choices in the Void crowns will pretty much be a countdown, okay? But yes, so let's see. When you have a meddling move and you have a miss, I think that as you're trying to get Abner's body outside of the bucket and lay it out to try and see like what's going on, I think you discover that there are sharp objects floating in the water. You didn't see them before because I think it's broken glass. And these broken pieces of glass will slice your hand open.
Oh my goodness. I think there's glass in the water.
Now, you don't have to run with that. I mean, you can choose to, again, like, just take the 6
Running
and...
with it.
Oh,
I'm running
okay.
with it. Yeah.
Great.
I love
All right.
a good failure.
Got it. Okay. So, I'm going to say you're going to add a condition now because of the broken glass. You're going to add the condition sliced palms to your conditions list. Okay? And the conditions will come into play later, possibly for disadvantage on your rolls, until you get that taken care of by what's known as the cozy move. But that will be done like at a later time, okay? And I'll explain how that works. So, for right now, you have, it's like sliced palms. But Abner's now out of the water. But you now have to take care of yourself, otherwise you're going to be bleeding all over him as you're trying to do the examination. So, what is everybody else doing?
I think that Diane is going to just, without even asking, is going to try to help Miss White move Coco to her room, both because probably not a good idea to leave her alone right now with a killer that we don't know, but also to maybe try to get access to more of the house.
Okay. All right, so you're going to go with Coco and Mrs. White. Okay. And what is Effie and Astrid doing?
I think Effie would be, seeing that kind of Coco's being taken care of and seeing that Birdie's kind of working with the body now, sidling up pretty close, not intrusively, but close enough to the sheriff, and kind of eavesdropping, but when there's like a moment, she'd be like, sir, I do have a moment. Do you have a moment? I have a question.
He kind of looks at you, and you can see the sigh. You don't hear the sigh, but you can see the sigh because of the slump of his shoulders. Yes, Miss Effie.
So when you came upon the scene, as many of us did, you said another one. Could you elaborate on that, sir?
I know you've been helpful. I know all of you Mavens have been helpful in solving some of these cases that have come our way. But it's not fortuitous that you find yourselves here yet again at the scene of a murder. So, I was just speaking in general terms.
See, my attention to detail leads me to believe that maybe there was more. But also, I would like to point out, and I'll turn around, like kind of sweep my arm across the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
All of the town is basically here. So the fact that we are here is no different than, the community being together.
I suppose. And he still gives you the side eye.
Yes. Well, you do know that we are, of course, willing and able to help should you need our assistance or not. But we are here, and as we are not allowed to leave, I'm sure we will cooperate in every way possible, and then some.
You do that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with my inquiries with the townsfolk that are here. Try not to be too much of a Badinsky.
We'll be fine. Give him a little, a salute.
He acknowledges it. I don't know if you make any faces behind his back, but I mean, he acknowledges at least that on the surface
Maybe a
level.
little, eye roll when he turns away, just...
Exactly.
Can't believe this guy.
Right. Okay. And Astrid, what are you doing before
I was
switch back over?
near enough by when I had to effect a rescue from Marcus that I got to hear enough of the conversation to know that he's Abner's manager. So I'm going to drift over towards him.
Okay.
And say, and basically as if I'm not trying to present as if I'm asking a lot of questions, but gosh, we're both here together when this horrible thing has happened. Must talk about it. Goodness, I had never seen such a, completely overlooking the times that I have seen such a have you ever, I mean, I know Hollywood's a very different place, but murder?
You hear the stories in LA. I mean, what is it? LA Confidential, or some of the Tinseltown Tales kind of thing going on. But I mean, he was so close. 5 more bad movies and he could have gotten the award for the record. Or at least his Hollywood star, Walk of Fame kind of thing. So close.
Goodness. He didn't have enemies, did he?
I mean, everybody's got enemies. It all depends on the degree, right?
Well, I
mean-
suppose. I mean, around here, enemy tends to mean someone who cuts the flowers out of your garden or something, or commits murder. But I'm figuring he doesn't know enough about Brindlewood Bay to know that, so I'm just going to gloss over that part.
Well, I mean, remember, he's disparaging over this little backwater that you all live in.
Exactly. So I'm going to play to his idea of what this town is.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it's so likely around here, would you? I mean,
No.
goodness knows. I mean, like, this is so quiet. I mean, like, why would anything happen? Goodness.
Indeed. Indeed. You don't suppose some trouble followed him here?
Roll me the meddling move, but this time you're going to use presence because you're trying to talk to him and get some info out of him.
Okay.
2d6 plus your presence score.
Okay. That's an 8.
All right, 8. So 7 to 9. Oops, sorry. Yeah, 7 to 9. There's a complication, either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. The keeper will tell you what the complication is. Now, with Brindlewood Bay, you can find clues anywhere and everywhere. All right, it's just a matter of using the meddling move, and hopefully you get a partial to full success. All right, so I'm going to tell you the clue that you can add to the character keeper, which under the mysteries, you can add to that column that says clues. All right. And just so you know, the complexity for this particular mystery is complexity 6, which means that you would need a minimum of 3 clues to be able to theorize who did it and such. But that puts you at a negative because basically you're trying to roll at the end of doing like figuring out how the clues are incorporated, and you roll 2d6 minus the complexity. So if you don't have enough clues, then it's like you kind of find yourself in a negative zone. So it's best to get as many clues as possible, at least up to the complexity, to be able to solve this and theorize. Okay, so back to the clue. Sorry, I think as you're starting to talk to him, Astrid, I mean, he's starting to talk about, I mean, everybody's got enemies. Everybody's got, like, somebody that hates their guts for some reason. Whether it's to kill, that's a level of degree that requires some commitment. Can't really say some of these Hollywood types have commitment. So long as I get my 10%, I don't really care how committed they are. And it goes on and goes on. But then he mentions something to you about, and somebody's welcome to go and put this in the clues list. He tells you about stacks and stacks of rejected movie scripts that he had been talking to Abner about. So the clue, capital C clue, is stacks and stacks of rejected movie scripts.
Well, I file that away mentally and just commiserate and boggle with him for a moment and then drift onward.
Yep. Okay. So that is a clue. All right. So we got the Kathleen. All right. Let's go over to Birdie. Back to Birdie. Now, Birdie, you can do another meddling move to like examine the body and do such. But I will say you're going to be held at disadvantage if you're going to do so because of your sliced palms. I mean, you've wrapped them up as best as possible, but I mean, obviously it would probably still hurt and make your examination less than optimal. Okay.
Would it be possible for me to use my Maven move
Okay.
to get an advantage to sort of counteract the sliced palms?
Yes. So what that does, using your medical bag, which remains unmarked no matter how many times you use it, okay, normally it would grant you advantage on the roll, but because you have disadvantage, it just essentially cancels it out. So all you have is a straight roll with your reason score. Okay, so you would roll 2d6 plus reason.
Okay, I'd like to do that.
Please do. Okay, go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you say disadvantage, what does that mean? Or
All right, so rolling with advantage means that you're rolling 3d6, taking the two highest.
Okay.
Rolling with disadvantage means you're rolling 3d6, taking the two lowest,
Okay.
plus whatever ability score there is.
Okay.
All right, but yeah,
To know.
since again, like you're using a renewable, cozy little place resource, that cancels out the disadvantage. So you're good to roll on a straight roll plus your stat. Okay.
I rolled 2d6, got 6 on each of the Ds, plus 1 equals 13.
Excellent. Okay. And what this means is 12 plus means that you get, hold on, I just want to make sure that I did this right. 12 plus, you find a void clue or you learn about something about the dark conspiracy in Brindlewood Bay, which is the keeper's choice. So, with Brindlewood Bay, again, you're solving murder mysteries, but there's also this dark conspiracy going on behind the scenes, having to do something with the void. All right, so I'm going to give you a clue, and then I'm going to incorporate something later on that will be that bonus that you get for this high roll. Okay? I just got to make a note of it for myself. Okay. So the clue right now for you in your examination of Abner's body, let me see, is I think you have, when you're examining Abner's body, this costume of his is amazingly has pockets. I don't know how, but I mean, like it's drapery, it's like glittery, but it's like somehow has pockets in it. I think in one of the pockets as you've moved him and examining the body itself to see what, how he died. I think you see half-empty pill bottles.
More than one?
More than one. They look like from your medical background that that they're painkillers.
Well, this is a serious, serious clue indeed.
Mm-hmm. So add that to the clue list.
I have a question about the clue list.
Sure.
If you look at it, there's 2 that are in parentheses that just say a clue that was incorporated. Should those remain on the list or?
No, you can take those out. Those are just kind of like a placeholder. So this way it's like you'd know what it looks like. Because a regular clue is just like, unchecked under that explained column. But if it's incorporated into the theorize, which you will do once you have enough clues or you guys considered that there are enough clues to theorize, then it would be checked off and then you'd automatically see that count go up. All right. So yeah. Okey-doke.
Wait, they were a dark conspiracy void clue though, right? The bottles?
No, that was the capital
sorry.
C clue. So void clues is completely different, and that's a countdown of a different sort.
Oh, I thought that's
And-
what you said. There was one of those. That's why I was like, oh, she put.
No. The painkiller half-empty bottles are that's the capital C clue for you. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Don't
And
worry.
there
you'll-
will be a
oh,
void clue eventually. Is that
eventually, exactly. Mhm.
Oh,
Yep. Because of the high roll. If it's 12 plus, you get a clue plus one of those 2 things that I mentioned. Okay.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm either winning or losing.
Hey, I'm
No
gonna get.
mid-range rolls.
But again, just remember that you do have the option of using one of the crowns to bump up the result of your roll 1 tier. So if you decided to take one of the crowns, then your roll would change to a 7 to 9, which is the mixed result. Okay. So just keep that in mind for next time. And I have, fortunately or unfortunately, have had the players who like to really play this kind of game, like either this or the between, where they're like, hey, I got a success, but I want to bump it up to 12 plus so I can get that, the big clue. And I'm like, you're just making my countdown go too fast. I hate it. All right. Okay. So Birdie
On
and
finding the pill bottles, I'm going to immediately go and try and find Coco
sure.
and
Okay.
talk to her about it and see if she knows anything about the painkillers.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's go over. So speaking of which, let's go over to Diane, who has followed Coco to the bedroom with Mrs. White, who wants to kind of keep Coco, comforted and such. When you approach the master bedroom, trailing behind, well, first of all, let me ask you something, Diane. Are you able to? Did you take off your mask? Did you finally break free of the craft to just be able? Okay.
No, I'm dedicated
Goodness.
to my craft.
Oh my! I think they're hearing a lot of bumps, and Mrs. White's giving you like the side eye a little bit as she's trying to alternately comfort and guide Coco to the bedroom. Goodness. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think you do make it, but you're just I think you figured out that you're going to need to stare down instead of forward, because otherwise you're going to be skewering people in your path. So I think you figured out to look down, so this way you're looking at the backs of their feet and following them that way.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, when you get near the bedroom and then you're hearing like Mrs. White do like some curmudgeonly murmurs of like comfort, and it's like, oh, Miss Vidal, just like go ahead and like, take a rest. I mean, like maybe we'll let the sheriff in a few minutes to talk with you, but I mean, like right now, I mean, like this has been a lot, Mr. Vidal's passed, deceased, and you hear this on and on. There's a paint the scene for the master bedroom.
Yep.
So each one of you will get to give me a line or two about this. Paint the scene, the master bedroom. Abner and Coco had a pretty interesting sex life. What evidence of this do you see casually strewn about the room?
I got one.
Yep.
So, being as he's in the movies and, they're very showy, there are photos, like actual like portraits of them, in their favorite acts and positions, like large over the bed. Sorry. Go.
Kind of like the top 10 Kama Sutras. I mean, okay. All right, great.
But it's them.
It's them, yeah.
It's very clearly them.
Got it. Okay. What else?
You had something kind of similar in mind, actually. I was thinking that, when Diane is up there and she's kind of giving Mrs. White and Coco a little time to sort of commiserate, near the bed, presumably, wherever they're laying Coco down to rest. Diane is sort of like looking at the periphery of the room, kind of walking around slowly and peeking through her eye slits at the periphery of the room, and she finds a like a video camera right behind like a sliding panel.
Okay.
Which is definitely going to tie into a meddling move here in a moment. Yes, they naughty.
They naughty.
And continuing the looking at themselves slash auto voyeurism, I don't know how you put that, theme. One of the walls is just all mirrors. floor to ceiling, just mirrors.
And I'm going to say folded up with great care on a bedside table is one of those blankets that's waterproof. It's soft on one side and has a waterproof bottom. If you don't know, Google it later, but don't ask me about it.
Love it. Okay.
I've got some of those. we had an incontinent dog, so
Okay.
they were.
Got it. Okay.
These two may have an incontinent dog too. I don't know.
That would be the. Well, anyway. So you're looking around this room, Diane, as like, you hear the soft murmurs of soft as Mrs. White can do it. I mean, because obviously she's got like quite the voice, grunty voice, and Coco is just like kind of sobbing. It's like, oh my Abner, and you just hear this. So, excuse me. How would you like to meddle?
Well, like I said, I think while they're distracted, I think Diane is sort of like meandering around the periphery of the room and sort of like, looking at the photographs, kind of goes, and then sort of, like peeks around, like looks at them, and you can sort of see her like triangulating like where these are coming from, like how they're composed, and so she kind of like uses that to trace back to where the cameras and the video camera are, and so she's like sort of walking, she's like tapping on the wall a little bit, and she finds the panel that she can move, and kind of like peeks inside, and yep, sure enough, there's some recording equipment or whatever there, and she I think that she kind of reaches in to see if she can grab a videotape or something, or see if there's like a collection of videotapes back there or something like that. Videotapes, what year is this even? Recording media, whatever it may be.
I'm going to ask you, I'll call it a meddling move. Let's do meddling move with composure, because I'm sure you're trying not to be noticed. Oh god, 8mm. Goodness. So yeah, 2d6 plus composure, please.
I could totally see them using like something weird like that. Okay, 2d6 plus composure. Let's do bow. That is a 9.
Okay. So again, that would be with a complication.
Yeah, except you know what? I think I'm gonna be one of those terrible people you were talking about earlier, and I'd like to put on a crown.
Okay. All right, hold on a second.
Sure.
Okay, so that's 7 to 9, so that makes it a 10. All right, good.
Mhm.
And then that's a full success.
Laserdisc, the ultimate infidelity.
Yes. So you will find a clue, and you will have no problems finding this clue and doing it with absolute composure. And then you would pick one of the crowns. So again, you can pick any of the crowns of the queen to describe later on, like a narration of your life as a woman. Or you can pick Crown of the Void, which you have to pick the first one. They have to go
I'm
in
picking
order.
A Shadow in the Garden.
Oh boy. Making it creepy right now. Okay. Boy. Fun. Okay. So your clue that you find with no problem. Okay.
Sorry, do we all mark that or just Diane's character?
Just Diane's character.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a circumstance where all players would end up marking a crown of some sort, or like in between, it would be masks, but you haven't quite gotten to that point. I don't want to explain it without confusing the hell out of you. So I won't. Yeah. So this just affects Diane's character. All right, so I think you find, just keep it simple. And you're reaching in this place, trying to be very surreptitious about it. I think you pull out paper. And then like you're kind of looking at it like you kind of hide your hand and you're like, your head is bowed to try to keep your nose out of the way. And you see that it looks like a love letter. And when you get to read it a little bit later, you see that it's a pretty steamy love letter, unsigned.
It is unsigned, so we don't know who the recipient is or the sender.
You just know that it's unsigned and it's a steamy love letter.
Okay.
I'm going to say that these clues in general for the Brindlewood Bay and Carved by Brindlewood games for the most part are kept general enough that when you do a theorize move or figure out like a resolve, that you are able to contextualize how to incorporate it into your solution, okay? It doesn't matter where you find it. It doesn't matter like, who gave it to you, whatever. Just you can take it as it is and then you can add context to it when you get to that point. All right? So, yeah, you could just put that down as a steamy love letter, unsigned.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. So that's 3 clues so far.
And 2 void clues.
No, I mean like it's 12 plus to get a void clue. So since you bumped it up to 10, then it's like you get a clue with no problems, no complications.
I'm sorry. I thought it went up a whole tier. Oh, I guess I did only go up 1 tier, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yeah, 12 plus is its own tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm sorry then. Can I retroactively go back? I'll take the complication instead.
Sure, no
Okay.
problem. All right, so let's see. Complication. I think that as you're rummaging and then you get this clue, you only have time to feel that it's paper and grab it before Mrs. White comes up to you, like as your hand is coming out of this space or what have you, and says, I really think we need to go. I mean, we just need to let Ms. Vidal, like, just kind of, like, take a breather, I mean, she's been through so much. Let's go.
Okay, so like when Diane hears Mrs. White behind her, she sort of like turns around and kind of tucks the letter behind her back and leans casually against the wall, like she was not doing anything at all in her giant skeletal bird mask.
I think she's like does a swing around to make sure she avoids the big nose.
And she says, "Oh, of course, the poor lady. I hope she can get some rest. Besides, I kind of wanted to talk to you about, what you saw downstairs. That must have been horrible to find."
Oh, it was, honey. Oh my goodness. Like she becomes more animated now because you're interested in her. Oh my goodness. That's never really happened before. And she basically like kind of leads you downstairs like while she's commiserating about how terrible it was to have found Abner's body and such, and then she closes the door to the bedroom. Okay, so I want to take a 5-minute break. Was there anybody's role? And I apologize for this because the between tends to have a little bit more structure than Brindlewood Bay, which is why I'm always a little bit nervous about running BB. But anyway, did I leave anybody hanging? Let's put it that way. I think I took care of Birdie. Got Diane, obviously. Effie and Astrid. Where were you headed, or where were you?
I would
apologize.
have stayed downstairs. That's fine. After kind of talking to the sheriff.
Right.
I would have then sort of just kind of started scanning the area, like just trying to look at for any clues or indications. Hands behind my back, just the obviously meddling, but trying to look like I'm not.
Well, there are many rooms here, like down on the first floor, essentially. I mean, there's Down the hallway, like between the main room and the kitchen, there's like a door, excuse me, a hallway of doors on like either side. You know, it's like if you go outside or into the kitchen, it's like you've gone too far for the bathroom. So you guys know that there's like the bathroom's quite close. But then there are other rooms around here, like Abner's office or the Tinseltown room. Okay. And
Okay.
Astrid, were you the one that was going to be heading upstairs to go talk to Coco?
Nope, that was me.
Okay.
I
That
found the
was
pill
Birdie.
bottles.
Okay.
I want to continue to circulate among the other guests.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's do a scene each of that, and then we will take a break, and then we will continue on. And Birdie, you will be able to do your go touch base with Coco once the break is over. So let's do one scene with Effie and one scene with Astrid. All right. So, Effie, do you wander down this hallway and do you just decide to, oh, I don't know, try some doors?
I'm trying to recall where Coco had said the ice was.
It was out in the back veranda.
Okay, so I'm gonna basically try to backtrack from the bucket where we found the body, like kind of tracking, like, okay, where's the ice, and then like sort of like peeling in those pieces, and then from the veranda, can you get to the kitchen?
Yes. Well, I mean, you can get to the back where the ice supposedly was, right outside of the kitchen.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking like kind of looping back and then like making my way back, because I think she said the kitchen was the farthest.
Yes.
So yeah, basically start at the bucket of ice, or the bucket, then the ice, and then back through the kitchen and kind of just start sort of meandering, you know, looking for anything that looks out of place, looking for like just basically any clues, like, you know, Frankenstein's mask is laying in the corner or anything, you know, definitely that I would question.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and do a meddling move then? And this time, let's see. Where do we want this? I'm going to say vitality, because you're like kind of like moving around and like just trying to check different places out.
Okay.
So 2d6.
So it's gonna be a 10 total.
Okay. Clue, no complications. Fabulous. I think in your journey around, meandering around, like, because like you're gonna check out the outside first, from the bucket to the back door, into the mudroom and into the kitchen and such and so forth. I think you find a pair of muddy boots. They're in the kitchen, but they're not, there's no like footprints from these muddy boots from the outside or anything like that. It's just recently muddy boots for the most part, and they're just kind of like discarded in the corner of the kitchen.
What?
So, capital C clue, pair of muddy boots in an unusual place.
Can I ask a question? Probably not, because I'm not there, huh?
I mean, you can sort of do an out of character question, but I mean, not like a question of her.
I'll hold it.
Okay. And then let's go over to Astrid real quick. All right. So, are you going to be talking to somebody, or are you going to be opening doors?
I'm talking to people.
Okay.
Who
Who would you like to tackle next?
I'm gonna drift around. I think I want to talk to Sam Turlington.
He's the Phantom of the Eye guy who's like Phantom of the Opera guy who's like really talkative.
Yes, I figure it won't be difficult to get him chatting.
Yeah. He's the local business partner of Abner, basically.
So, how dreadful is this? I, you hear about awful things happening, but
He looks
goodness,
stricken. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he's taken his half mask off, and like you can see how stricken he looks. It's like, I can't believe it. I mean, struck down in this. I mean, yeah. I mean, like we're all in the prime of our lives, right? I mean, but I mean, he had some prime retail property near the bay. He was like, getting invested here. He was getting engaged here in Brindlewood Bay. I mean, like
He was really working hard on being part of the community.
he really was. I mean, I cannot believe this. I mean, who would
And
do such a thing?
I can't think. Was there somebody else who was, I don't know, is somehow wanting that property or not wanting him to develop that property? Or, I mean,
Oh, he leans into you and he's like, well, if you believe what Marcus says, then it's like, he was doing so horribly here. Marcus wants him back in Hollywood, but you know why that is? He wants his 10%. Who doesn't want their 10%? And he starts going off about like, like about being his business partner, about being Abner's business partner. And it's like, who doesn't want their percent cut?
Of course, of course. And what does this do to, I mean, I presume Coco's going to inherit. Do you think she's going to want to go through with the same plans, or could it go through without him?
Meddling move with presence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ten.
Rolling so well. Okay. Keeping it uncomplicated. Nice. All right. I think what he has to say is that he starts to tell you about the complications with some of the retail property. Gets a little complicated and you might start to space out, but then he says something quite interesting about one of the building permits being rejected, or I should say the application. So a rejected building permit application. Not only were they buying up property, it seems, but looks like they were also going to be building. I mean, and we filled this out. I mean, I don't understand why it was rejected. I mean, you'd think that, they'd want to have this kind of restoration and revitalization in this town. I mean, like, well, between like all, between you, me, and the wall. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe there's been difficulty with these things that have been happening here in Brindlewood Bay, but I mean, it shouldn't affect building here and making it better, right?
Sure, of course. Goodness. Well, I certainly hope all this gets worked out for you. Because I can see that this is a very important project to you.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I thank you for your concern. I mean, like, it's affecting all of you too. I mean, like, you've settled down here in this beautiful Brindlewood Bay, and it's all for the community,
Of course, of course. It affects everybody.
Absolutely. And we're going to cut over to, I want to do this thing with Birdie first. And then we're going to take our break. Take a short break, okay? Birdie, you've headed upstairs. And I think you pass Mrs. White uncharacteristically chatting up Diane, who's still trying to maneuver in her mask. Way to not break character. But you can see that like Diane's figured it out. I mean, like she's making her way relatively okay. She's just trying not to skewer Mrs. White in the back or the side with the nose. And I think you get the head nod that Coco is upstairs in the bedroom, and yeah, the door's closed. So I don't know what you want to do.
Well, I had come up originally to ask Coco about the medication. But now presumably I find myself alone in the upstairs hallway.
Correct.
What is the hallway like? Is it large, multiple doors that I have access to? Is there windows or?
Well, I mean, considering this place is kind of done up a little bit more Hollywood style, so you see like a wide hallway, and so you do, you see, I'm not going to say too many doors up here, like, because the rooms are bigger. So you've got like guest bedrooms, you got like the master bedroom, which is probably at the end of the hall with the door closed. And then of course, like, really tricked out bathrooms, like one humongo one for the guests, and then like, of course, whatever they have in their master bedroom.
I think I will continue on to the master bedroom, but I'd like to listen at the door before I go in.
Sure. Go ahead and make the make the day move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail?
If I fail in dismeddling?
I mean, like okay. So, sorry. One of the other another few moves that we have in Brindlewood Bay are the day move and the night move. When you do something risky or when you face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve, then roll with an appropriate ability. Okay? So.
Well, if I'm listening at the door, I'm definitely afraid that someone will come upon me or that Coco will suddenly come out and find me or even run into me. And it seems like because I have a history with caring for women, the last thing I want to do is upset her.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and roll with composure. Sorry.
My composure is 2, and it's a 2d6 still, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. 8.
And you're okay.
Sorry, did I interrupt?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to just make a mention that, like, in this case, your conditions do not affect you. Your condition does not affect you because, the sliced palm is not going to affect you listening at a door. Just want
Both my hands on the door.
Leaving bloody handprints. It's okay. It's all right. Okay, so in 8, you will have... Keeper will tell you how your actions will leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, the Keeper describes what it looks like. Okay, so I think where you are vulnerable, I think you are going to have somebody, yes, as you say, like somebody's going to come upon you in the hallway and interrupt your intention of going to talk with Coco. Want to continue, or do you want to go through with it? Or you could conceivably do a mask and bump that up.
I would like to go through with it.
Okay. Okay. I think as you're trying to listen at the door, I think you end up hearing music coming from downstairs. So for some reason, I mean, nobody turned off the music that you were hearing at the party, but for some reason now it's much louder. And it's in your ears, like as if somebody turned it up here on the second floor. And you hear it coming from inside. It's like, somebody turn that down. That's so inappropriate.
All right. If I look around, can I tell where the music's coming from? Is it definitely coming from downstairs, or is there anybody in the hallway?
You can't tell. You're welcome to look around if you want.
I think I'll just proceed into the bedroom.
Okay. when you go in, you're going to see Coco curled up on the bed, and she's like sobbing because you can see the heaving of her shoulders. And she hears the door open, and she says, "Mrs. White, I don't think I can see anybody right now. I can't. I just can't." Which you can barely hear because, of course, she's muffled over because, yeah, she's turned away from the door and such.
I am going to go and sit on the bed with her and gently put my hand on her and just be a comforting presence for her, as I have so much experience doing for women who are going through difficult situations. Maybe I'm, shh, it'll be okay. Comforting her and just being there for her. And I want to say, I'm so sorry that this has happened. And I know that this is the worst thing. And I just want you to know that that you're going to be okay. That grief comes and you'll just have to ride it out, and you are going to be okay.
She turns her face towards you, and you see one eye peeking out from behind disheveled hair. I mean, she's knocked her Cleopatra wig off, and so you see her like on her side on the bed with her streaming brown hair around her head in a cloud. And she says, "It's the nicest thing anybody's ever said. But why? Why would anybody want to kill him?"
Now I have a very important question for you. And this is a very important moment in your life. When I was examining Abner, I found some used pill bottles on him that had painkillers in them. Do you know anything about that?
Take the meddling move with presence.
Five. Can I use a crown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to.
Okay. You can pick which one you want, whether the void or the queen. If you do one of the queens, of course, like you'd have to narrate a little bit later.
I'm going to use the flashback to your fondest memory with your late partner, Queen, Crown of the Queen.
Beautiful. All right. We'll take that. We'll do that after the break. But for right now, you're bumped up to the 7 to 9, which gets you a clue, but a complication with the clue itself or something while you are talking with her. So we're going to go ahead and, you know what? Let's do the clue and the complication when we get back. All right. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll resolve that. Okay. So at the 58 mark, I think. All right. See you in 5. Boy, I hope I captured the last bit. I don't know now. Shit. Should be fun. Okay, great. We'll find out when this converts over. All right. So if I'm missing any spots, it'll just be a surprise.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle, because that's how we roll. Okay. So we left off Birdie, and she was talking with Coco and asking about the half-empty pill bottles. So I think in response, Coco starts telling you a story about how there was a point where Abner had been driving around in LA in one of his cars, like one of the fancy cars that he had, and he was tooling around like normal, but then he was coming around a turn and he kept on trying to pump the brakes, but they weren't working. And he crashed. And ever since, he'd been sort of kind of popping the painkillers when things got really bad. And turns out that the brake line had been cut. And so he'd been kind of back and forth ever since. Just, he would have them on him when he needed it. But she swears that he was never, like, incapacitated to the point where it was something that he wasn't lucid or it affected his work. But ever since that accident, he's been, like, just needing that little bit to take the edge off. So, the clue, capital C clue for the list, is a fancy car, the brake line's cut.
I am so sorry to hear that. I know chronic pain can be very hard to deal with. I am surprised to find out that there had been previous attempts to hurt him. Did you ever find out where that came from or who may have done that?
No.
Is that why you guys ended up moving out here?
It was one of the reasons. I mean, he felt, well, we'd visited here before. I mean, like, you know, we knew people here, like Sam and like June. I mean, we wanted to settle down to just kind of like, you know, get a breather, right? You know, not be in that Hollywood scene where it's like things just go so fast. And to be honest, I'm not sure whether he felt like he could keep up much longer.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
by this point, she's sat up and she's like, you know, kind of sniffing into like a handkerchief or her, like part of her costume or what have you. And she's looking at you with you know, limpid eyes and just like kind of reaches out a little bit. Thank you so much, Birdie. This has been a comfort. You think we'll find out who did it?
Absolutely, I do. Nothing is more important than getting yourself peace.
And she squeezes your hand. We're going to close out that scene, and I'm going to suggest you have 6 clues listed in the Keeper. And again, this is a complexity 6. All right, so that is the minimum of clues that you need to be able to do a straight theorize roll. All right, now the way this works is that in Brindlewood Bay, when the Mavens have an open, freewheeling discussion about the solution to a mystery based on the clues they have uncovered and reach a consensus, you roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the theory or otherwise explained away, minus the mystery's complexity. All right? So with 6 clues, and if you can incorporate all 6, then you'll be rolling a straight 2d6. All right? And yeah, it runs on the same level of success as the regular PBTA rolls. So this is an opportunity for you guys to theorize outside of character. All right? So that I'm also included in this discussion as well. And you just have a discussion about like how come up with a theory using all of these clues, or as many clues as possible to go towards the roll. All right? Does anybody have any theories looking at the clues right now? Let's go over them. Stacks and stacks of rejected movie scripts, multiple half-empty bottles of painkillers, unsigned steamy love letter, muddy boots in the kitchen, rejected application for a building permit, and a fancy car, the brake line's cut.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I think that this all has to tie back into Marcus, his manager, and Marcus's efforts to get him back to LA and back into active movie making. He made an attempt once before, I don't think that attempt was actually meant to kill him, the brake lines. I think that was meant to make him feel unsettled and therefore rethink his plans for a big change to his life. Because I think it happened when he'd been talking about retiring and moving to Brindlewood Bay. The stacks of rejected movie scripts tie in because Marcus keeps sending these to him, keeps saying, please look these over, make a movie, come on. But that wasn't getting anywhere. He thought maybe he'd try to break up his marriage, and so he gave Coco an anonymous admirer, sending steamy love letters, in the theory that maybe if Abner's marriage broke up, he would be more inclined to go back to what was familiar, back into movie making. And the building permit rejection, Marcus isn't himself a tycoon, but he has Hollywood money. You know, he can afford to jet coast to coast for a last minute invitation. So he bribed someone at the planning office to start wrecking with the plans for the Bayside property. Again, trying to sabotage Abner's new life here to send him home. I'm not sure how the muddy boots fit in. I bet we can make him fit. And the painkiller. Go ahead.
I'm thinking maybe the muddy boots have something to do with kind of keeping his own tracks out of, the murder scene, basically. Maybe he was killed by the ice, which was out the backyard, which might have been a little bit muddy. So he had boots to kind of cover up the fact that he, maybe like their galoshes or something like that he could use to just kick off to cover up his own shoes so they didn't get muddy and like track inside or around that area where the murder actually happened. And so he just kicked him off like as he was making his way back to the party. So that could be how that gets incorporated into this theory. What about the painkillers?
I had a kind of a thought about that. So the painkillers kind of along the lines of the brake line in the car. Like maybe he somehow like was engaged in a conversation with him as he took some. And then, kind of kept talking to him, stressing him out a little bit with whatever, like he knew some of his triggers and things. Enough that when he started to like look at the bottles, he had that recognition that like, did I already take one of these or did I take one of the, that? And kind of just was like, oh no, you didn't take any. But then to kind of, hopefully that would, much like the brake lines, kind of shock him. Not enough to kill him, but maybe enough to make him like out of sorts and enough to be able to get him out wherever he needed to do whatever he did.
Yeah.
Incapacitate him enough to make it easier to drown him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that Coco and Marcus are in it together.
Ooh.
I think that Coco and Marcus had a previous relationship in Hollywood, and that the first attempt was Marcus trying to get rid of Abner with the car with the fancy brakes. And that scared Abner so much that he moved away, and Marcus can't take being separated from Coco. And Coco's unhappy because Abner's a failure as a businessman. He's getting his building permits rejected. He's getting his movie scripts rejected that he's been sending out to Hollywood. And he's constantly taking drugs. And even though Coco says it's not something that's an issue, she may just be trying to divert from her own unhappiness in the marriage.
Yeah, that fits.
And the beautiful or horrible part about this is that if it all fits, it's like, which one do you choose?
Yeah.
as your solution. What do you like? I mean, like, so, well, like, Daniel, what do you think?
I'm into both avenues.
Because she's the one who sent him out onto the back porch to get ice.
Yeah, so
Good point.
that makes sense to me. The other thing that I was thinking could possibly be sort of an in-between area here is, maybe Marcus was actually trying to kill Coco. Because Coco was initially going to go get the ice, however that was orchestrated, and then she changed her mind and then asked Abner to go get it, right? But killing Coco may be one more reason, or might have been one more way to sort of like make Abner so upset and angry with his life here that he would move back, to where he had some success, which would benefit Marcus.
The only thing that with that is that, I mean, like, the Cleopatra and the King Tut costume aren't that similar, so I'm like, I'd wonder how, well, I mean, if it was Marcus trying to kill Coco, like how he would get mixed up and then kill the wrong person, basically,
Yeah, it's not like a dose of poison or something where it's easy to get the wrong person if
It's
you're
true.
actually physically shoving them into a bucket.
I mean, I like the idea that it's like, he was convinced that, like, maybe he didn't take that painkiller. Maybe, like, he needed to take another one. And then that, again, as you said, makes him pliable enough to be incapacitated to be murdered in the other way. Like, either killed with the, like, out in the back by the ice, and brought to the bucket, or like literally brought to the bucket and then drowned. So, I mean, that's where I think that fits in pretty well.
I do like the idea of Coco and Marcus being in it
Hand
together.
in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe she gave him a dose earlier, or like, prompted him, we have the big party coming up. It'll help take the edge off.
Right.
And then that. Another thing that we haven't really touched on was the glass in the water.
Oh, yeah.
The broken
That wasn't an official
glass.
clue, but I wonder, it would be hard to ascertain from a field examination. I wonder whether, like, a bottle broken across the back of his head to force him down into the water could have landed broken glass in the water and ended with him face down in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
maybe
like,
he struggled with a bottle and attacked his assailant. And like when we do the final reveal, we like lift up Marcus's shirt or something, and he's got a wound, from
Ooh,
that's
Mhm.
kind of
using
cool.
glass.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And we didn't
But
see the blood marks before because the house is decorated on Halloween, so
right.
And he's wearing a suit which is probably a dark color.
He looks
And if it's-
rumpled.
Yeah, he
Plain.
looks rumpled. Maybe that's from being on a plane. Maybe that's from struggling with the man he murdered. Though we saw he was rumpled before the murder. But he didn't get any more rumpled. It might have been, if he hadn't already been rumpled, we might have noticed that he'd been in an altercation, but
I like the idea that he's like, it was compounded action that brought him to his end. That you started off with the, oh, take some painkillers, honey, but then, like, he forgot in his, like, languidness, and he was encouraged to take another one to make him really incapacitated. And then, like, all they had to do was, like, kind of smash him on the back of the head, and then, drown him because they smashed him on the back of the head. So, I mean, again, the compounding things to get him to be dead. And then, including all those other things as reasons, as motivations for the two to be hand in glove. If you like that solution, we can run with it. Then the problem comes with the roll.
I think I'm happy with the solution enough to chance a roll.
Okay.
What other people think?
Okay.
Yes.
I
I
agree.
think I'm okay with that. Mhm.
Okay, great. So, who's rolling? I will
Not
even
me.
I will even accept like somebody, like like one person, like ugh, excuse me, two people, one die each rolling. So,
I'll roll one if someone will roll the other.
Y'all
Sure,
feeling...
I'll take the other one. Nobody
go.
will want me to do it, but I'll do it.
No, go for it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
mute.
Oh, it's a 4. I'm super average.
It's only a 3.
We're both super average. We're the averagest.
Okay. All right, so, with a 7, hold on, let's take a look. See? Theorize. 7 to 9, it's the correct solution, so great. But the keeper will either add an unwelcome complication to the solution itself or present a complicated or dangerous opportunity to take down the culprit or save the day. So, I'm going to point out before we get to the denouement of the way this goes is don't forget you do have access to the Gold Crown Mysteries move. Now, you cannot use this obviously to help with the theorize, and you don't need it anyway because you did get up the partial success. But if something happens and like really desperate measures for that climax, just remember you've got the Gold Crown Mysteries move to use if need be, which involves once per session when any Maven says, "This reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt." Work with the other players to describe how something that is happening in the situation reminds the Mavens of an event from one of the Gold Crown Mysteries. Remember, you are part of this big book club that loves Amanda Delacourt mysteries. And so you would mention, at the minimum, the name of the Gold Crown Mystery, the problem or situation that Amanda found herself in that is similar to what the Mavens are experiencing, and then how Amanda eventually overcame the problem or resolved the situation. This automatically gives you either a 12 plus to the relevant role, or you state a fact about the current situation that I must incorporate as the keeper. You can only use this move once per session per group. Okay? So, just want to point that out there because like sometimes that's been the Hail Mary for saving the climax. So, just to let you know. All right. So, I would imagine that after commiserating, yourselves within game, in character, you want to spring the solution on everybody. How would you like to do that, first off? I mean, do you want to do it that way, or do you want to just kind of make a mention to the law enforcement that happens to be present at the party so they can,
Well, it may be a bit old-fashioned these days, but I have always been a fan of the grand old tradition of the parlor scene where you bring everybody together.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Nice.
Nope. I was totally thinking the same thing.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. All right. So getting everybody together shouldn't be a problem. Some of the more worried guests have kind of like, stayed in the big, great room, if you want to say. And the music is still going on for some weird reason, and they're all kind of talking to themselves as they're being interviewed by Sheriff Dalrymple, like one or two at a time. And the two deputies are kind of like in the periphery, just watching people, making sure that nobody has left, And, yeah, how do you make the announcement? Like, who does it?
If no one else wants to, I'm willing. It's not as if stage fright is a problem for me.
Yeah, Astrid, you do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Astrid's probably she's got the most composure and the most presence in the room, She's got the voice as well as, she just knows how to handle herself in front of a crowd.
Okay.
All right. So I will.
Oh, and does anybody go and have Coco brought down from upstairs?
Yes.
We need her here.
I think I would suggest Birdie
I'll be happy to go get her.
And I didn't know if you wanted anybody to assist you.
No, I think we've built up a rapport. I think that Coco would be more than happy to join me in the parlor.
Just out of curiosity, Birdie, how do you feel like knowing that, Coco was probably, or most likely, complicit in this?
Women in desperate situations do desperate things.
Okay. Alrighty. And, all right, so everybody's like brought down. I mean, Coco is still kind of teary-eyed and such, but she's kind of leaning on you, Birdie. She's like, I guess I should see to my guests. I mean, like, it's the least I can do in this weird, very horrible time.
So I'm torn about whether to warn the sheriff what we're up to or not. I think not.
Diane's like, no. I was gonna say, it's like, bumping into several people, like, what is going on? What is that poking me in the back? What the?
I'm gonna sit with Coco and hold her hand.
Okay.
And just incidentally keep her from bolting for the
Exactly.
door.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Firmly hold her hand.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm going to stand up at one end of the room and say, assembled friends.
And the sheriff is, so just so you know, the sheriff and the sheriff is at the periphery, and he's got his arms folded looking at you with the biggest glares. It's like, and he's mouthing to you, Astrid. I mean, I think the rest of you can see it too, but he's mouthing to you, Astrid. What are you doing?
I am ignoring him as blithely as I ignored the critics in Milan. And hey, if you can't ignore the naysayers, you'll never perform. So, Halloween is a time for stories, a time for drama and horror and the desperate things done by desperate people.
And Elena's like leaning over to whomever's next to her and going, "Oh, she's good. She's good."
And so I want to spin you a tale that has the advantage of being true.
Everybody's leaning in.
Perhaps it's a ghost story. Perhaps there's a ghost we all know whispering to us this very minute. Whispering to us about infidelity and about money and about the jealous desires of people who wish to control the actions of others for their own gain. And
Elena's like, is this a script from the new movie?
Go Astrid.
We all know that Abner had at one time been very, very happy with and involved in his career. And then he dropped it and he came here. We all know that there were those who were involved in the business with him who were not happy that he left Hollywood. But there was someone much closer who was also unhappy. And two factors came together. Now, there had already been one attempt against Abner in Hollywood, which perhaps not many people here knew about, but his car was sabotaged, leaving him with a need for painkillers, and a certain amount of natural fear since the culprit was never identified.
Coco's leaning into you, Birdie, and she's saying in your ear, "What is Astrid doing?"
And sorry, trying to figure out how to sum this all up and not take forever.
You don't have to have the pressure of doing this, I mean, like, you can just narrate and, like,
Yeah,
describe what happens next.
I will lay out the plan as we have
Right.
talked it through, but in that dramatic style that I am spinning a plot worthy of grand opera here.
And basically, at the end of it, I think Marcus has laid his highball, well, one of the many highballs, off to the side, and then we'll do the very nice. Do you really think that passes muster? That script wouldn't get past the first casting director.
I think. Oh, good.
I don't care what a casting director thinks. I care what Sheriff Dalrymple thinks.
And he's in the corner like, He's trying to look intelligent.
Yeah. I think, like, at this point, Diane is going to be like, my dear friend Astrid has, woven this story tonight of people pretending who they're not, to be who they're not. Like myself, I am not really a zombie Big Bird. Coco Vidal is not truly a dedicated housewife. Marcus Greaves, is that right? Is that his last
Greaves.
name? Greaves. Marcus Greaves is not truly the friendly businessman, and Sheriff Dalrymple is not truly a competent law enforcement officer. But we're all here tonight wearing these guises. And as she's talking, she's like moving around the crowd. And I think that she is going to be the one to do the big reveal of Marcus Greaves' injury to correspond with Astrid's story.
I think as you're doing this too, I think, Birdie, you feel Coco like slipping her hand out of yours.
Unacceptable. I'm going to hold on to her tight the way only a nurse can.
Gotcha.
Don't you go anywhere, sweetheart. We're not done with you yet.
She's trying to get out. Go ahead.
That was the best squeak ever. Yeah, so I think that when Diane makes her way over to where Marcus is slow clapping, she is going to just old lady punch him right where his injury would be.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Fully support.
Oh, night move. All right.
Okay.
So this is the worst variation on the day move. Night move. When you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. The keeper will tell you how it is worse than you fear, and you can either choose to go back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, roll with the appropriate ability. So, yeah, this is kind of dangerous. Well, how do you think I go wrong? What are you afraid will happen?
Well, I think probably the biggest fear is that the injury is not going to be there.
Okay. I think it's worse than that because I think he's going to not only knock you down because, like, in the midst of trying to reach for his injury or, like, where you think he's been marked by doing this murder, but I think he's also going to have a gun that you didn't know about, and he is going to shoot you or whomever he can get to. He is that desperate, and he's obviously faster than Sheriff Dalrymple. So, yeah, hold steady.
Yeah, I'm into it. So this is probably a vitality thing?
Yes, definitely vitality because you're going physical. So 2d6 plus your vitality, and it's okay. Let's put it this way. Let's try to see if there's any way you can work an advantage in here.
Yeah, let me.
You have anything in your cozy little place that you can put towards this? And again, you don't have to have it in front of you,
right?
Necessarily. I mean, you can just try to parlay it as something you're thinking about as you're doing this to give yourself advantage. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's a
It has to be
possibility.
on his or on Diane's cozy place.
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure I'm looking at the right grouping.
I'm just not seeing anything that really makes a lot of sense there.
It doesn't speak to us.
Right.
Hold on.
And again, you can also call upon, if you can, and this would be with everybody's compliance and
Right.
the Gold Crown Mysteries.
Gold
You
Crown Mystery
could
move. This might
conceivably
be-
do that to get the
yeah.
automatic 12. But again, that's just a suggestion.
Do we want to use this for the Gold Crown mystery move?
Per
You muted
mystery.
Astrid, but
Yeah, it's one per mystery.
Yes.
Yes?
This
I'm
is
alright
the
with
big finale. Let's use
The
it.
big moment. Do it. Do it.
This
Go big or
reminds
go home.
me of a time.
Something that happened to Amanda Delacourt. Like, it's under the moves tab in the character keepers to make it easy for you.
Oh, is it?
There
Okay,
we go.
great.
yes, under
Fantastic. Thanks.
line 32.
I was
So
trying to
under
find
the
it
moves
in
tab.
the PDF, and that was not being very helpful.
No, this is a little bit easier. Like Ben has provided us with all this stuff.
Oh,
So-
yeah. This is fantastic. Okay, great.
This is a marvelous character keeper.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Arctosaur is a genius. And I have that on recording. Okay, so Gold Crown Mysteries move once per session. Again, like, when any Maven says this reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt, work with the other players to describe something, how this is happening that reminds you guys of an event in the books, in the book. Like, you have to give me the name of the Gold Crown Mystery. You give me the problem or situation Amanda found herself similar to what's going on now. And then how did Amanda solve it? How did she resolve the situation? And then you get your 12 plus. So work together, figure out how this plays out.
This is like how Amanda revealed which one of the twins remember when there were the identical twins, one of whom was the murderer?
I remember
And-
that. That's from Brandy and Bullets, the book Brandy and
Yes,
Bullets.
That was it. Thank you. I knew it had a beverage in the title and I couldn't think of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the very end, she turned and sank an elbow into the side of
Was it Bullets or Brandy?
yeah, it was Brandy who did it because everybody thought it was Bullets, but she was right that it was Brandy had been pretending to be Bullets.
Classic evil twin situation.
Mhm.
And then they brandished that gun at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming you're going to be taking the 12 plus, right? Not the other
I'll
thing.
take the 12 plus. Yeah. I don't trust my dice luck that much.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys succeed with the Gold Crown Mysteries move, and you do it exactly as you remember it from the book. So, you sidle up to him, Diane, and you just wonk right into the rib or where you think that the injury is, and he goes down like 9 pins. And then you see underneath his hand, like the bloom of blood in the shirt. And then he
Get him, Sheriff.
she swears he swears like loudly. It's like, and then swears at you, Diane, of course. And it's like, could have gotten away with it, but for these meddling Mavens. Ugh. And the sheriff comes by, and Marcus Greaves reading his rights, and then just kind of like he just looks at you four and just shakes his head. Thank you very much.
Raise my glass and take a bow.
And Coco will still trying to weakly get out of your grip, Birdie, but can't, and says, "Why? What? It was gonna be all fine. He was gonna take me back to Hollywood. Why?"
You forgot the cardinal rule, Coco. Do no harm.
And she sighs, and I mean, I'm guessing you're not gonna let her go until she goes into the deputy's custody.
I think you and Effie would kind of sidle up, like just next to her, and if she stands up, just hand. Like,
Right.
put my hand on her shoulder and just push her gently but firmly back down.
Okay.
Just like a, mm-mm.
Nope. All right. So, all that's left to close this out is to have any of you that owe any masks to go ahead and relate them right now. So, I think Birdie took a mask. And Diane, did you decide to take that mask, or did you decide to roll with whatever it was? Somebody marked
decided
Shadow
n-
in the Garden, I thought.
I took Shadow and Guard, but I just had to roll
And
with
take
it instead.
backsies.
Yeah, I
Okay.
took backseat. Yeah,
Okay.
I take backseat.
Okay. And then Birdie, did you take backsies as well, or did you decide to do one of the crowns?
Yeah, I've got the flashback to your fondest memory of your late partner.
Go for it.
My fondest memory of my late partner is when Marvin was in the hospital in his last days, and I spent so much time with him, and it was a very difficult time for both of us, but I just remember so much joy. Our sons were there, our grandchildren. Marvin had had a good long life until the accident. And I remember he took my hand and he said to me, "You know, Birdie, you have always taken care of me. You have always taken care of everyone. And not just because you're a nurse and a mother, but because that's who you are deep down. And I want to make sure that when I'm gone, you never forget. You never forget how to care for people. Don't let my passing make you hard." That meant so much to me. I still remember it to this day.
Lovely. I think as you're closing out, I think as Coco and Marcus are taken away in the squad cars and the party starts to disperse, and, some people have actually tried to take advantage of the horse and carriage and the languid discount headless horseman to drive them at least like a little further away, maybe into the center of town for funsies. And everybody's leaving. I think you see ringed around the house, further afield, in the darkness, I think the camera pans along what looks like the silhouettes of the trees, but then in the trees, in the moonlight, you see the shadows of hooded figures, all peering out and watching, especially watching you four leave. That is your void clue. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at those final questions. So let's see. Let's start from the end and then go backwards. So, Birdie, did the murder maven solve a mystery? Yes, you can mark that off. Did you behave like a woman half your age?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you dote on somebody?
I did.
Okay, then go ahead and mark that. So you get 2 XP for today, and you want to go ahead and mark those 2 off on the track. Okay. All right. Effie, murder maven solved a mystery.
Yep.
Did you share a memory of a late family member?
I did not.
Okay. Did you show somebody you still got it?
Maybe. The only thing I can think of is when I rigged up the straw.
Yeah, go for it.
That's
Take
the best
that.
one I thought of.
Okay. Go ahead and take that, and you can mark 2 XP.
Ooh.
All right. Diane, you solved a mystery. Did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I don't know. I think I was mean to the local officials, but I don't know that
I
secretly
think you
undermined
undermined his
Yeah, I
authority.
did.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'd say you did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I don't think I did.
Yeah. Okay. So take
The
2
only
XP.
question would be
Yeah.
whether it was secretly undermined.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty publicly.
You know, we've always taken it regardless of whether we were blatant or secret. So you're
Good.
fine. If it has to do with Sheriff Dalrymple, we always took the XP. All right. And Kathleen, excuse me, Astrid. Okay, so you solved a mystery? Did you behave like a woman half your age?
Um, there is no way someone in her 70s should be dressing like a flapper. I did it anyway.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool. I'll take it. And did you show someone that you still got it?
I don't think so. Well, depends on how still got it is defined. Still
yeah.
got my sense of drama. I sure did. But
Uh,
Yeah, I'd say the big
well-
speech at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
For
okay
sure.
then.
I mean, the only difference was that you didn't do it as an aria. You did it as a declamation. So
Yes.
I would take those 3 points for sure. All right, great. So go ahead and take those 3 points. All right. And then, yeah. All right. So that is the end of our session for tonight and the end of the mystery All Hallows Scream. Stars and wishes. This is our debrief section, which you say stars are things that you really liked about today's game, the gameplay, the role play, you know, anything that you really enjoyed about tonight. And then wishes are, of course, like things that maybe you want to see for the next part, you know, like when we enter in for another mystery, you know, next week.
Go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Stars to you, Mads, for for leading such a great game. I was really nervous before we started because I haven't played this game before, and it's a group of people I haven't played with before except for Rachael, and I just had a lot of fun. I thought it was awesome. Stars to Diane for committing to her costume, for sure. And wishes, I really want to see the MacGyver Maven move next time. I was a little sad we didn't get to work that in because I just want to see her build a helicopter out of a paper clip or something.
Okay.
All right. I'll go next. So stars, yes, I agree. Mads, like for my first time playing it, like you made the rules pretty clear and straightforward. You answered any questions that came up. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was just there's like so many good little moments and just, you know, everything about it was just like yes. Muna, for your first time playing, I loved your character. You had like the nice like
I'm a nurse.
that's my favorite. I'm a nurse.
I'm a nurse.
It's beautiful. Such
And
a
all I
beautiful
could think
line.
of was the other day when we were talking about your character, and you're like, she's kind of a bitch.
Kind of a bitch.
So that's all I could think of, and then you're like, I'm a nurse. Yeah, Diane, the bird just committing hardcore. Loved it. And then Astrid, you did great. Like just like you held the room. Like I'm here. I'm delivering this line, and you're gonna listen, whether you agree or not. Like I don't care about you, Sheriff. You shut up over there. So loved it. Wishes. Oh, I think I want to like kind of like I feel like we got a good peek behind like Birdie's character and like kind of her different, you know, like I can be really sweet and friendly, but also like no, sit down. You're in trouble, you know. And I want to be able to see like kind of more of our like the other characters. So that, you know, Astrid and Diane and everybody I think would be my wishes.
I can go next. Mads, I'm not going to say the same thing everyone else said, even though I feel it in my heart of hearts. But what I am going to say is definitely stars to you for all of your great characterizations for all of the characters. I really loved all their voices. I really, really wanted to be very sympathetic to Coco and just couldn't manage it because of, of your portrayal of her, which was perfect. So yeah, so just great job there and great job all around, and I always have fun with you, and thank you for that. And then to everyone else, like I loved your characters. Astrid, I like when you were giving the sort of final speech, like I knew what was going on, but I still couldn't wait to hear you say it. So that was amazing. Some really heartfelt stuff from Birdie. It was fantastic. you will never ever in a million years convince me this was your first time playing this game. And and Effie, I loved Effie's sort of relationship and sort of the interactions with Diane. That was just a lot of fun. So thank you so much for that also. That was great. Wishes, I think like for the next mystery, I'm really excited about having a mystery maybe that has some more like area, like geographic area to breathe. Like this is kind of a fun mystery, but it's very, very isolated. Like it's, you know, by definition, it's like, you know, a very small slice of time in a very enclosed area, which makes it hard, I think, to try to do things like cozy moves and stuff like that. It makes it harder. You have to work harder to get those things, right? You can't just like hop over to someone's house and have tea with them and like that sort of thing. So I'm I guess my wish is for a mystery that has more room to breathe.
Expanded universe.
Yes, the Maven expanded universe, the MCU. I also kind of loved that 3 of us are bird related. Like, you know, Diane had the bird costume, Effie had a bird costume, and then Birdie's name is Birdie. So like I could totally see at least the 3 of them walking out of that party arm in arm saying, you know, this party was for the birds or whatever.
And now I feel a little sorry that I didn't take bird watching as my hobby.
Oh my gosh, that would have been hilarious.
Been awesome. Yeah. So.
Stars for me. Assuming you're done, Daniel. Okay, didn't want to cut you off, but wow, this was just great all around. I loved everybody's characters, and it felt to me like people who've known each other for a long time and sort of know each other's foibles and tendencies, and that's exactly what it should be. And I really liked that. I think working together on the cozy little place really helps that feeling. And so that's something I like about the game, but I also like this particular implementation of it. I like this group of people. Again, Mads, terrific job all around. Beautifully facilitated, beautifully explained, all that. And yeah, this was just terrific. And as far as wishes, I don't know. I just look forward to playing again. I don't have any particular things to call out.
And my stars are for all of you. I fell in love with all of your characters just listening to your diary and then like trying to come up with things that I wanted to put into your cozy little place, and then just picturing each of you in your cozy little place, like, you know, with these things. And I mean, you know, the depictions, even though they were brief when they happened, I mean, it was lovely to see. And then when you worked together and just, I mean, it was like you had been working together for a little bit, because, I mean, you dovetailed with, all right, we got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to get you out of this fix with this bad conversation. And then we got to go to the bathroom to get you fed because you're not going to get it anywhere else. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, some of these things were just so beautiful. And then Birdie, oh my gosh, so tender. And then we find out that she's one of the murderers. You know, she was complicit in the murder. It's like, oh shit. But you still handled it well. And it was, you were definitely one of the doctors that has a good bedside manner. And I appreciated that so much. I used to work with doctors, so I know. And no, it was beautiful. I mean, and just, again, everybody working so collaboratively together, and then the theorizing was really good. I mean, you know, sometimes you can have a big debate about this, especially when, like, you know, you're unsure about the game, you've never played it before, and you don't really know how this is different from other investigative games. But you guys did wonderfully. Luckily, we didn't have to worry too much. And yeah, I mean, like, you know, I you helped me feel very comfortable with it. This is, I'll say, my fourth time facilitating like the game itself rather than playing, and each time I feel like I just get a different comfort level, but I was still very nervous, and especially I felt pressure because several of you have not played this before, so I wanted to make sure you had a good experience. And if you did, if you enjoyed yourselves, that is my gift. Like, your gift to me, and I thank you so much for it. This was great facilitating this group, I'll tell you, and it went pretty well, especially like with utilizing pretty much I think all of the moves. I mean, like, we had a day move, we had a night move, we did the gold crown. I think the only thing that remains is when we have cut to commercial, and that's a fun one in itself. So I will explain that, as well as cozy moves. So that was one of my wishes, is to be able to utilize or see the utilization of cozy moves for next time, especially because I'm terrible at giving people conditions, so I know one of you has one. And so we're going to get that resolved and cleared, before, at next time when we do the cozy moves. So that's one of my wishes. And then hopefully I can give somebody a cut to the commercial, because that's always fun to hear as well. Yeah, I had a lot of fun facilitating this, and I gotta figure out like which one I'm going to facilitate for next time, because I meant this to be a 2-shot just in case we wanted it to breathe. And the reason you didn't get that much time to breathe was because part of this was character creation. That's always like the first session. Like session 1 is always like, well, we got to spend a little time doing this. But you know what? It's so valuable because you get to know the characters together at the table, instead of just like, oh, jump on in, just like, start the mystery. Nope. You get a little cozy first. You understand what that means with each other as part of this book club. And yes, as you say, worth it completely. And this one, so good. Thank you
So much fun that we'll be back next week.
Yes, we'll be back next week to do another mystery, and then hopefully, you guys will be able to again enjoy the cozy moves, to add that to play, and then hopefully somebody does so badly we'll have to do a cut to commercial. And then I have to, there's so much content now between like the writing contest that happened recently, like a few months ago, as well as the initial core content and some of the stuff that was added on for the Nephews in Peril supplement, that I spoiled for choice. I'm debating whether I want to even like run my own mystery, which is a Christmas mystery, so I don't know if you want to do that too soon.
I see several hopping.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like, I can pull it out and then see what you think. So yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, if you don't mind like doing the holiday stuff like outside of the holiday, it's fine.
I just request that you don't do Dad Overboard, because that's what my other group is doing.
No, well, because I'm a willful child. I was supposed to do St. James's Street Ghost for the beginning of my Between campaign, but of course I'm a willful child and I didn't do that. I did another mystery to kick off my campaign, and it worked out great. So I mean, like, nobody missed anything. So I'm like, it's suggested, especially if you've never run the game before, but I kind of did. And I've also played it a few times, so I think I'm fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with jumping in the deep end. It's fine.
And but the other thing is this. I will say that the introductory mysteries that are suggested and recommended for your first, especially if you've never facilitated before, they're beautiful in that they lay it out, all the structure is there, and then you're able to follow through and be able to teach as well as learn the game, as well as play the game when you do it. So there's a reason for it. There's a good like structure to it. And yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with it, do the recommendation. But if you are and you have all this other content you want to do, then definitely play around with it. I mean, like, I'm always picking out mysteries because I like the premise, because I like the questions, because I like the characters involved. Yeah. I mean, and there's a ton of characters. There's a few places you guys actually didn't go, in this mystery. So, I mean, when you get to play it through again, or you get to run this, you'll get to see what I mean, and then it'll be completely different for your table. So that's why I enjoy the playability of this game, and I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed yourselves. So we will see about next week and do something, in advance of the holiday, and then see what you think. All right.
Sweet.
Have a wonderful week, guys. I mean, I'll probably see you around gaming
Probably.
for something else. But yeah, I will look forward to next week and giving you yet another mystery. All right.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Good
you.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.